Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're in the studio today with Kirk Tadpole Spradley. Dude, I have to look at my notes here to read your intro. You are a former Force Recon Marine, veteran of the intelligence community, specifically OGA Special Programs. You're a Black Hawk pilot, an Apache pilot, a Little Bird pilot with over 16 combat deployments, give or take. Obviously, you're the author of the book, War Junkie, A Cautionary Tale. Yeah. And most importantly, you wanted to let people know that you're an ambassador for veterans' causes and issues, past, present, future.
Absolutely.
Kirk, thanks for coming into the studio, bro.
Oh, man, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and certainly thanks to Pork Chop that we both know very well.
Yeah.
He put us together. I'm sure you and I have crossed paths, but Pork Chop really put it together. And obviously, I ran into Pork Chop at Short Rounds service. And we continue to lose people from our community to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the answer is other than to write about it, talk about it, post about it, and just, I don't know, man, bring it up and let people know they're not the only ones thinking the thoughts that they think.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, in order for you to tell your story, I got about halfway through the book today, because we were on kind of a short timeline. So once again, I appreciate you coming up.
Thank you.
We can't overlook your origin story, and it's deeply personal. And the first couple of pages of the book, brother, I had to read a couple times.
Sure.
You had you had let me, kind of told me that you were a product, a positive product of the system, that you grew up in the system. For the audience's sake, would you tell your origin story and just the incredible saga that was you before you found purpose and service?
Sure, absolutely. And let me say that from a very young age, I wanted to be a professional soldier. So even before the trauma, and I know a lot of people associate kind of bad childhoods with, military service, things of that nature. And there's certainly some overlap there. But I wanted to be a professional soldier from, I don't know, I was probably 5 or 6 when it just something I wanted to do. Grew up with my father and my mother, and I had 2, and I'm sorry, I just can't remember. It was either 2 or 3 half brothers, and I think the oldest one moved away or something to that effect. That was on my mother's side. My mother was killed on her motorcycle. She rode motorcycles. She flew airplanes non-commercially. She was an artist, and she worked for the telephone company. And then my father was a retired aeronautical engineer, and he flew crop dusters. He lost his legs in a plane crash, so he couldn't fly for the military. But once she was killed by a hit-and-run driver, so then it was just me and my dad in Pensacola, and my 2 half-brothers that lived with us early on went back to their father, and then the state removed them because he was abusive. So they went to a foster family, and the foster family found out that I was out there or whatever, and allowed me to come spend time with my brothers. It sounded great on paper, man, but what was really going on was incredible abuse of my middle brother, just extreme stuff, man. And
not to interrupt you, but you were 8.
I was 8 years old.
Yeah, 8 years old.
Yeah,
when this was happening.
Yeah, just the mother, man, just had problems, man, deep-seated, psychological problems. I don't know what the answer is, man.
Mm-hmm.
Is there better screening today? I don't know. This was back in the 1980, I think, 79, 80 time frame. But I just happened to be visiting with them when my father died. He was kind of in poor health and had a heart attack, and I was living with them, and so they just kind of defaulted, adopted me, and that's pretty rough because your dad is your hero, as a little boy,
without a doubt.
So now I'm living with them, and I'm with my brothers, which I like, but man, this lady was just crazy, man. She would just beat my brother with a belt to the point where he was bleeding. And I never could figure out, like, there was no why. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
got that from the book, kind of very unprovoked, not really knowing any rhyme or reason to why he was being subject to that abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And her younger son, he was 18. He kind of picked up on it. Like I said, they did let me keep my dog from my dad, but then he would hold her up by her neck and just weird shit, man. I'm like, man, what is wrong with these people? You know what I mean? And just, I don't know, man. They were just sadistic people. You know? And I don't know. Like I said, man, I don't know if something fell through the cracks. If there's better screening for foster families now, I don't know. There's man, I forgot. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. He wrote a book. He's friends with Jason Morrison.
Yeah, shout out to Jason.
Yeah,
Good dude.
but he grew up in an orphanage as well, and he wrote a book. And I'm drawing a blank right now. But anyway, perhaps there's better screening. I don't know. But man, the abuse is just crazy, and one day we just kind of had to decide, man, we're probably going to die here. It was me at 8, my middle brother at 12, and my oldest at 14. And man, it I guess it sounds bad, but you got to figure how bad was life when you decided you're going to have to, escape, and they're going to find you. So we just kind of came up with a plan. My brother killed her one night, and shot her son. Her son came to help. He shot him, and from there, man, I was taken into state care. I was put in a temporary, they called it a shelter, and that was like the actual name, but essentially I was moved into a Catholic orphanage called St. Mary's Home. And I've recently reconnected with some people there, which is another story. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see some stuff. But one of the kids I grew up with, he is an ordained minister now, and that's how he dealt with his childhood stuff. But so I went to an orphanage, man, and I grew up in an orphanage is the easy answer to that. But I was able to get to a military school to finish out high school, which is, like I said, I wanted to be a professional soldier before any of that stuff, and I'm sure it affected my route or my duration. Sure. But yeah, that's kind of my origin story.
And you did something, and I don't want to give away too much of the book, right? There's a portion of that where you had made a decision, and please keep me on track here, where you wrote a letter to a particular judge, correct?
Right.
You wrote a letter to a particular judge, and that was kind of unprecedented, right?
Yeah.
Saying, hey, and please explain to the audience what I'm referring to, where, like, hey, this is my plan, and I need your blessing, basically. My words, not yours.
That's right. So I inherited, I think it was my father's pension, maybe, because he was 63 when he died, and there was a big age disparity between my mother and him, which I think as men we think is motivating. She was 29 when I was born, and he was 55. But anyway, hey man, get on the Spradleys for pull a younger girl. But so I did have, like I said, I want to say it was his pensioners. It was a very small inheritance, and when you're a minor, that money goes to a custodian, I think it's called. And a side story to that, which is in the book, the guy that was the conservator of everyone's money, he was stealing money from everybody. So he was actually stealing money from me. But I knew I wanted to go to, like I said, I wanted to be a professional soldier. I wanted to be in the military. That's just all I ever wanted to do. And I thought that the military school could get me into like a service academy. And I knew the Catholic charities weren't going to pay for it. Not that I blame them. I mean, they don't have that money. But I had a little money. So I wrote a letter to the judge to tell the lawyer to release the funds, and then my social worker would do all the paperwork as far as driving me up there and all that in the application process. So the judge was just like, wow, man, this kid that lives at St. Mary's wants to go to military school, and well, it looks like he's got the money. So we just need this lawyer to release it. So he wrote a letter to the lawyer saying, hey, I approve of this. I recommend you just release the money, which is fortunate for me because I got to go to military school, but also because man, he drained people dry. Man, that lawyer, he was stealing money from people. And I can't say the name, but if you do some web searches of Mobile, Alabama, a particular lawyer that had been over people's accounts, stealing, that type of thing.
Getting sticky fingers. Yeah. So, when I read it, I was like, yep. Unfortunately, it's a common tale, right?
Brother. Yeah, isn't it?
Well, and so once again, like there's so much I can relate to in the first half of the book that, and obviously not the just incredible origin story, but your inspiration and where you drew inspiration from that led you down, to writing that letter, the books, the movies, and paint that picture for the audience.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a lot of the audience that can relate to where we draw that inspiration from.
Absolutely. My dad was of the World War II generation. He didn't serve because of his legs, but I had an uncle who was in the Marines, and I'm pretty sure, and all my relatives are deceased, unfortunately, so I can't verify everything, but I'm pretty sure he was in Iwo Jima, not during the initial, he wasn't an infantry guy, but he was on Iwo Jima, I'm pretty sure. And then I had another uncle who was in Normandy, not the D-Day landings, but he did serve in Europe, European Theater of Operations. And so these are my uncles, and they come over, and I'm hearing these stories, and it just kind of wet the whistle, And I forgot what the first book I read, but I started finding history books. And then when I went to St. Mary's, man, they had a huge library, which I don't know if every kid took advantage of that, but I did. And man, I think the first book I really truly read that I can say influenced me was Guadalcanal Diary, and I can't remember the author's name, but he was one of the first World War II veterans to talk about his experience, and I think it kind of opened the doors for a lot of people. A lot of people were probably, dealing with their memories or whatever, and that generation just didn't talk about it.
Sure. Get back to work.
Get back
right?
to work.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. But he wrote about it, and then some other people wrote about it, or wrote about their experiences. So I started reading the World War II books, read The Flying Tigers, then of course saw the John Wayne movie, which was not bad actually, for a kid. When I was a kid, there was only 3 TV channels, and you had Black Sheep Squadron, which was really cool show about World War II, highly fictionalized evidently, which I know now. Did not know then.
Didn't matter back then,
Didn't
right?
matter. Did not matter. The A-Team, all these different shows, man. Even Miami Vice. I mean, there were just so many cool shows back then. But I read all the a lot of the World War II books. Definitely inspired by those people, man. Just holy crap, man! Look at what they did. But then, man, when I got to high school, I found the Vietnam books, and man, that's when because that was just like these were people that I could. I'm not gonna say I knew them, but you could go talk to a Vietnam.
Yeah, like we talked, you could touch them.
Yeah.
They were close enough you could still touch them.
Right.
And right.
The thing that really got me, man, was just all the MAC-VSOG stuff, the LURPS, the Rangers, SEALs, Force Recon, but even the infantry battles, man, like taking Waste City. That's these are just amazing things. And I guess the what really kind of an additional thing I give to them, and not being disrespectful to the World War II guys, but the Vietnam guys went there with zero support from the media, zero support from their government, in my opinion, zero support from society, and they came back to less than nothing. They were told to go do something. They went and did it. They came back and were blamed for doing what they were told to do. And that was like. So my level of respect for the Vietnam guys is here.
Yeah.
Not that I'm disrespecting other people.
Totally understand.
Right.
Yep.
So, but the Vietnam guys, man, they could do no wrong. And of course, at St. Mary's, actually, they had programs where volunteers would come in. And I would always see these kind of younger men, like in their mid to late 20s. They would come in and maybe they'd play basketball or football with us or something and talk and stuff like that. And over time, as you get to know them, you start talking to them and you find out these were Vietnam veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And these were guys who, and you didn't know it at the time. You had an idea they were searching for something. Like you got that impression, like, why is this guy here? Why isn't he, he's 25, why isn't he married? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, what's going on here? And over time, you're like, especially now as like GWAT veterans, we know what those guys were. They were
100%
guys with PTSD trying to figure it out, and they came to the conclusion, maybe I should give back to society. Maybe I should go, volunteer at a children's home and see what that's all about, type of thing. So that was actually my first interaction with Vietnam veterans. Just guys that came over and took us to movies or whatever. So for me, the Vietnam vets can do no wrong, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here. And obviously growing up around it, I have a large family contingency and, I grew up around it as well. And I couldn't agree more. Same thing, like just completely, transfixed and, fascinated with, what they went through and what they experienced. And in the book, you talk about your time in the system, refer to it as the Gladiator Academy, right? And I think everyone kind of knows what that means, right? Yeah. And was there an aspect of your time in the system, we'll call it the Gladiator Academy, as you referenced it, that you think that there was an aspect where you were already kind of starting to try and relate to some of those things that you were seeing in the movies and the books, as far as like the conflict, the struggle, the perseverance, the toughness that you had to have to survive in the system?
Oh yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I used to kind of play a game with it at times. I used to pretend I was a POW. I was in a prison camp.
No shit.
Yeah. And like that's how I got through a lot of the shit. Because man, you were in fights, man, like 3 and 4 times a day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
For no other reason than just to fight.
No, man.
Right.
Yeah, like it was just a brutal place. Your society's unwanted. It's the unwanted of society in this place, and you kind of know it on some level, and that. Triggers some level of anger or whatever in everybody. And who are you going to be mad at? You're mad at everything. And there's just always fights, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember early on, and I'll be happy to say, man, I did not win any fights early on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I got the shit kicked out of me many times. Once I figured out that there's no negotiating, and if someone is like, they're going to fight, like, and I'm not trying to be political, but you see a lot of stuff on the news or with geopolitical things like, oh, well, if we just appease this person, man, you're going to find somebody sometime in your life that's just going to fight, and there's no talking out of it. You might as well get good at fighting. And that's what I decided, or that's the conclusion I came to, and I came to that conclusion at 8 years old, and maybe, well, he doesn't have a childhood, or, it is what it is, man. That's just life. But I learned that lesson very early on, and some people maybe still haven't learned that lesson. The GWAT guys know 100% that is true. There are people out there who want to fight, no matter if you want to fight or not. You might as well get good at fighting. And eventually, I got good at fighting.
Yeah, it's. And once again, not having spent any time in the system, but I can relate to what you're saying. Every now and again, you're going to run into somebody that doesn't want to negotiate, doesn't want appeasement, doesn't want anything. They just want to duke it out, right? And like you said, does anybody actually win? Even the ones I think I won, I still walked away hurt.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man.
But sometimes you don't have a choice, right? It sounds like you didn't have much of a choice at all.
No, not at all, man.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So how long total, like how long were you in the system before that letter took place and you were granted access into the military academy?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 6 years. Now you're still a ward of the state, but you're at the military school, which it's a boarding school, a military boarding school. So from the time I was 8 to the time I was 14, and then when I was 14, I think that's or right after I turned 15, I think it was. That summer, I went to football camp because my dad played like I'll just be honest, man, I've never really been into football, but my dad played football, and I just kind of there must be something to it. And I had buddies, once I got there and did the football camp, I had buddies, and they were from the football camp, and so I went there that summer for the football camp, and then I started academics. So I was 15, and I stayed at the military school until I graduated.
How were you as a student? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was above average IQ, but you had to hold my attention somehow. I didn't do well in my first semester, I think it was, with math, and I can't remember why. I was just bored.
I think a lot of it is boredom, right?
And the teacher, she was a nice lady. There's nothing wrong with her, but she was just like, look, you're gonna fucking fail. And I was like, well, I can't get into a service academy if I fail math in 10th grade. And I was in a extracurricular military organization, so you could just do the classes and stuff like that. But you could go, I guess, above and beyond and be in these extracurricular military organizations after school. And it was like exactly what I wanted to do. So I did that stuff, which, I don't know what that means, but I mean, I just thought it was cool. But somebody would be like, man, you're doing all this stuff. The thing about it was a 4-year high school and a 2-year junior college. The junior college they're one of like 7 schools in America that had this program where you could get your commission in the Army in 2 years instead of 4 years. So I'm 15 years old in training with people who are in college ROTC, meaning being given, there's active duty Army guys there, and some of them were Vietnam vets, but there's active duty Army guys given military instruction on leadership. And I'm receiving it because I'm at 15 because I decided to go into this organization. There was only like 2 high school kids doing that. I was one of them. I just thought it was something you get to like. Today we laugh at it, but when you're 15 and you're told you are allowed to go do a 12-mile road march with a rifle, that's cool.
It is
today,
cool.
I'm like, dude, you better
Not
man.
today, right? Yeah.
Not today, brother. But so I actually got a lot of intro into military leadership and things of that nature at a very early age, which I'm very obviously grateful, privileged to have done that.
I'm sure, right? I'm sure there was a certain aspect of it where you kind of clinged on to that and were kind of full skinny pedal on the right because it was safe to assume that was lacking in your previous,
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. In the
structure, balance, right?
And I guess the reason I brought that up, sorry, I have memory issues, but one of the guys there was like a math major. One of the guys that I was trained with and stuff, and he's like, hey Kirk, I hear you're not doing so well in math. I was like, yeah, man, I don't know. And he's like, man, you're smart. You're just something's not clicking. And he would tutor me, and so I went from making a D that first semester to making A's, and I never made less than A's in math after that.
Just had to find the right guy.
Just had to find the right, mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
And he wound up being an infantry. He wound up branching infantry when he got his commission, and that was another thing because I'd considered a bunch of different things in the military. I wasn't really sure which way I wanted to go, but I started looking around at the people that I associated with. You know what I mean? Like the people that naturally, like you can get along with anybody, but I started looking around at the people that I naturally gravitated towards.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all, dudes going into combat arms. Everybody was, they're, you know what I mean? Like nobody was like, no offense to, any jobs out there or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, this is how you look at life at that
Sure.
time. You know, nobody was talking about, oh, I want to go to, you know, law school, or I want to be a CEO of some company. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
But the people that I was gravitating towards were like dudes that went to the gym. You know what I mean? Dudes that like hot rods. You know, if I walk in their room, they had, you know, the girly poster. You know what I mean? Like some chick in a bikini or whatever, you know. Whereas, you know, you go in somebody else's room and, you know, they got, I don't know, pictures of the solar system or something. I didn't have that shit. You know what I mean? So, nope, again, no offense, man, but we need smart people. But yeah, so you learn a lot about yourself, and you kind of, like I said, that kind of was like, there's a reason why I gravitate towards these people. Maybe I'm one of these people. So that was kind of the foundation, I guess.
Sure. Well, so you graduate. Can you say the name of the academy?
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you say the name of it?
Marion Military Institute.
Okay.
They were very good to me. They have, unfortunately, I assume because of budgetary issues, they're no longer a high school. They're only a junior college, which is very unfortunate because, man, in my opinion, they did a great job for so many kids my age, from various circumstances, guys with money, guys without money, guys with good homes, guys with bad homes. It was, young men need certain things, and that physical and that camaraderie and mentorship, that's a really big thing. And it was there, brother. It was there. Like I said, man, there were a lot of Vietnam guys there. There were active duty Army guys there. And it was very structured. And I just think, you know, young, you know, boys need that.
Saved your life.
Yeah.
Saved your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. There's no way to know how it would have turned out for me. But statistically, because I have been in contact with people I grew up with recently, and they're like, you know, yeah, man, that guy's in prison, that guy's dead, that guy's homeless, that, you know, he's on drugs, you know. So it's like, man, it saved my life, absolutely, no doubt about it.
Wow. So how soon after graduation, the portion in your book with the recruiters is hilarious. Take us through, take us through the thought process and the steps, right?
Absolutely. So again, man, you can throw stones at me all day long for decisions I made. I made the best decisions with the information I had at the time. In high school, like I said, I knew I wanted to be a professional soldier or warrior. I looked around at all the different units, and I had concluded that probably the most diverse career to have, where you get to do the most cool stuff, you know, again, I'm 16, 17, trying to figure this out, was SF. So I was like, I want to be a Green Beret.
Yeah, Army Green Beret, Special Forces.
Absolutely, man, because you can be a SIF guy, you can be a rucksack team, you can be on a dive team, you know, it just is, you know, you can have a lot of different experiences in a 20-year career versus, you know, if you go to this unit, you only do this. If you know,
sure.
Like, and again, I don't know shit, but I thought I did. So I wanted to be an SF guy. Boy, you couldn't just be an SF guy, and I don't think they had the 18 X-ray program at that time, the SF baby thing. They may have.
I don't know what year are we talking?
I went to high school in the late 80s. I graduated in 90.
I don't think so. The internet will correct us, right?
Oh yeah, clear hot.
Yeah, I don't. Right, but I don't think so. I think I can remember when that first, or at least when it came across my ticker tape, would have been, you know, mid 2000s, where the 18 X. And for the audience sake, the 18 X-ray program is basically, it's a guaranteed, you enlist to go through the Special Forces Army selection and assessment program. You know, obviously no guarantee that you'll be selected.
Absolutely.
But it's the start of the pipeline.
Absolutely. And I knew I had to start somewhere. I had to go somewhere else to get to SF, but SF was the goal. And I just kind of decided that probably Ranger Battalion was going to be my first step.
It's a solid answer, right?
Yeah, you know, they had been in, they had done a lot of cool stuff in Grenada. So they had seized all these strategic objectives, and I think they jumped in Grenada, and that was the first time I think the Black Hawk had been used in combat. And you know, it's on the news, and you're like, holy shit, man, look at these guys, Rangers, man, this looks cool. And then Panama, of course, they jumped into Panama, and you're like, okay. And this is like my senior year of high school, you know. And I'm like, okay, I want to be a ranger. I'm going to go to a ranger battalion, do my time, and then go SF. I wasn't 100% sure if I should go to college first or last. I had kind of decided, okay, maybe go ahead and get my degree out of the way, or you know, maybe join the Rangers, then get my degree, then go into SF as an officer, or get my degree, go to Ranger Battalion. You know, so I was kind of juggling these pieces. So I went to college. I went to University of Alabama, and I just didn't fit in, man. That's the easiest answer. I did not fit in with, you know, the college crowd, man. I think today it's easier to say that a 4-year degree is no guarantee of success in life. Or
God, not anymore. Yeah, not today.
Yeah. And I kind of felt that at the time. I didn't have a problem with the studying and I thought it was easy, man, honestly. But I was bored, and there's nobody there. Like at the military school, man, 90% of the people were thought like I did. And now I'm in college, and I'm like, you know, hey man, what gym do you go to? I don't go to a gym. You know, okay, all right, that's weird. What do you do all day? You know what I mean? Well, I'm going to go get drunk on Friday.
Sure.
That seems like a waste of fucking time, you know? So I was like, all right, this isn't for me. So about that time, Saddam, this is the first Gulf War. Saddam invaded Kuwait to take money to pay for his, essentially his misadventure in Iran. The Iran-Iraq war was like 7 years and didn't move the border one inch. So, and, you know, he's on, and again, I'm 18 years old watching the news, and you see this guy like, you know, Americans can't, they won't defeat us because they could not take 10,000 dead in one battle. I'm like, holy fucking shit, man, 10,000 dead in one battle. What kind of crazy battle is this, right?
Sign me up.
Oh, sign me up, man. This is it, you know, because like I said, college was just so fucking boring, and then this guy's like, you know, I'll kill 10,000 you in one battle. I'm like, nah, not me, brah. So now I'm at the point where I need to make a decision. I need to go in the military. I can't miss out on this war, right? I mean, sorry, but that's what young men think. So if I joined the Rangers, man, I was probably going to be in training for we'll just call it 9 months before I went to combat. If I was somehow magically able to get into SF at 18, which, you know, I kind of knew wasn't going to happen, but that's like 2 years of training. SEALs, 9 months, a year before you go anywhere. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to miss the war. There's got to be a way. I was like, what about the Marines? I could join the Marines. I could go to the infantry. That's like, 4 or 5 months of training? I'm in combat. I get combat experience. I get the Marine Corps on my resume. Then I can go to SF. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a perfect plan.
Fucking perfect plan. just you know, every 18-year-old is a genius, and I was no different. It briefed well.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I go to the recruiter, tell him, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to join the infantry, go to war. Before it's over. He's like, all right, kid, let's look at your ASVAB scores, right, or whatever. Because if you went to military school, they mandated you take the ASVAB, whether you went in the military or not. That was just something you did.
My high school was the same. I think my high school was. I mean, I definitely took mine in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good idea. Anyway, man, he's like, infantry. You sure? I'm like, dude, I want to fucking shoot machine guns, brother. I want to, like, you know, bayonets and shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You're 18 years old. You know everything.
I can relate.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people watching this like, yeah, man, I get it, you know. But long story short, man, he was like, you know, there's a thing called a quota, and I think the infantry slots were filled, and he was lacking in field radio operator, which at the time was 2531 was the MOS. And you are attached to the infantry. That's a true statement, but so was everybody else. You know what I mean? So he was like, hey, look, you're going to go to the infantry school. Okay, you're going to go to the infantry, but you're going to go to this school also. You're going to be a field radio operator. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? And he goes, no, I mean, you're going to be an RTO. You're going to be there in the shit, right? You get to call in airstrikes. You could call in artillery, medevac, man. Goddamn, man, that's great. Fuck, maybe that's, you know.
And if you want to get shot at, it's the number one job. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure he didn't sell you on that point.
He didn't tell me that unless he thought he would, you know, get me closer to signing. And I was like, field radio operator, huh? So I'm kind of like a JTAC and all. He said, oh yeah, man, it's awesome. I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. But I'm in the infantry. Oh yeah, you're in the infantry. So at the time, there was 2 infantry schools, right? Everybody went to the first one was called I want to say basic combat training or basic. There was a name for it, and I can't remember what it was.
Was it ACT? So School of Infantry, Marine Combat Training. Those were like when I went through in '98.
NCT, I think. It
yeah.
was.
So any 03, any infantry MOS was School of Infantry, and anything else was a shortened Marine Combat Training. It was just a shortened timeline.
Okay.
Same curriculum.
Okay. So that's what it was. You went to MCT, and then you went to SOI if you were in 03. I went to MCT thinking, okay, I go to SOI next, or this is the infantry school. Well, no, you get orders to your MOS producing school. That was not, even though it was like kind of, it was an infantry school, but everybody went there. So you didn't get the 03 designation. I was like, well, what the fuck, right? And then I get orders to 29 Palms, where the field radio operator course is. Yeah. So I went to the, actually learned a lot. It was good dudes, man. There's no doubt. It was a good setup at the end of the day. And I don't think my recruiter knew this. He may have. I don't think he did. I think he was just trying to make things happen. But there were 2 feeder MOSs for recon at that time. One was infantry, one was field radio operator. So I actually lucked out.
Sure did.
By getting that MOS.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So so that was kind of the recruiters, man. I'm not saying they're all shady, man. They're being told they have to accomplish a mission, and they get very little leeway in how they do it, man. So man, no love lost to those guys. God bless all those people, man. It just wasn't. It all worked out for me. You know what I mean? But it doesn't always work out for everybody.
It's like that quintessential prison movie scene where what are you in for? Didn't do it. Lawyer fucked me. Everyone's got a recruiter fuck me story. You know what I mean? I've not met a single person.
Yeah, man.
What happened to you? Recruiter fucked me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, man, I came out of 29 Palms. And again, my goal was to go into SF. So I just wanted to get the combat stuff, man. So I went in the reserves. So I show up to my first unit, and it's an infantry unit technically. 03, either 03, which was like 80% of the guys, or 2531 was like the other 20%. But it's called SCAMP. Sensor Control and Management Platoon. So what they were trying to do was hold on to this technology from Vietnam, where you would go out and set up these sensors. And pull back, monitor the sensors. The sensors are supposed to be able to detect movement, large scale.
Yep. Troop movements.
Troop movements,
yep.
Right. So then you know where your sensors are, and you can do back azimuths or whatever based on, I guess, vibrations, I assume.
Sure.
And then you could call in artillery and things of that nature. So it was kind of like a first, it was kind of like it was high tech for the time, Vietnam. And they held on to it. And the idea was, don't put a human out there. Because, you had the LURS and recon, all these dudes in Vietnam, which was very effective. But you did have casualties. And they were trying to say,
sure,
we want to reduce, how can we reduce casualties and get the same?
Don't put a body where you can put tech.
There you
right?
go.
Even though you got a body's got to put the tech in place, right?
Yeah.
Was that was SCAMP the prequel to the SHRIG? I always heard the SHRIG, and maybe I'm screwing up my acronyms because I don't know what SHRIG stands for, but exactly what you're talking about in my era was the sensor employment, and in the state platoons as well, surveillance and target acquisition. Okay. The SHRIG was, and obviously if it's not or ringing a bell, I could have been told wrong as well. But
I'm sure.
The sensor and placement I'm familiar with. Yep.
Yeah. The idea. Like I say, it briefs well, man. That idea. Now, the technology would have to catch up. And today you have drones and thermals and FLIR systems and stuff that could do that. I don't know if the vibration stuff would work or not, or like I said, maybe the technology has matured. But I just did not like that job, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go fucking shoot machine guns, bro. I want to jump out of airplanes. I want to do cool shit. And you're going out there and it's like, hey man, we're going to the field. Fucking awesome. Grab that whatever tough box and put it in the 5-ton. We're gonna drive to the field. We can't jump in. We can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm looking for adventure, and it just wasn't there. Well, there's a recon unit there, kind of catty cornered to us, and man, these dudes are showing up in freaking flight suits.
All the cool shit.
You know what I mean?
Or they're just different.
They're different.
And different
bro.
is cool. Yeah.
Different is cool. And I'm like, what are those dudes doing? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. They're probably going to go do CQB. CQB, we can do that? No, we can't do that. They got, they do that. And then, man, you see them like doing halo jumps, and they got fucking boats, scuba gear. They got all this cool shit, man. And I'm like, man, I want to be one of those guys. And everybody says that to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had heard it all before, man. But I was like, no, I really want to be one of those guys. And eventually I was able to talk to the commander, because a commander has to release you to go and do the NDOC, because if you pass the NDOC, you're theirs. And
Right.
Unless you fuck up somewhere, then whatever. But and I don't agree with the process, but I do see both sides of it. A commander has to be able to say, I have this many Marines to go to war with, because that's your job. And if he has 30 guys, or we'll just say 30 guys, and like 3 of his kind of better, stronger
Yes,
guys
high
leave,
performers are trying to leave, right? Yeah, you can see it from his eyes.
I see it from his point, man. So, man, all the NCOs were like, fuck no, you just got here and all this. And I'm like, man, whatever happened to career mentorship? You know what I mean? Like, I want to be here for fucking 20 years. Fuck that. Not there's anything wrong with doing that job. It's just not what I wanted to do with my career.
Right.
So anyway, I see the commander, and he's like, hey man, let's have this conversation in 6 months, because every 19-year-old fucking kid coming out of fucking boot camp shows up here and sees guys jumping out of airplanes and wants to go jump out of fucking airplanes. Do you have any idea how many of these? And no offense to those guys, but do you know how many of these guys have gone over there and failed the NDOC, or failed pre-scuba, or failed ARS? And now they're here and they're butthurt and, or whatever. Bitter, fucking angry. It's like, look, man, just, slow down, kid. But if we have this conversation in 6 months, I know you're serious. And you better fucking perform. When I see you between now and that 6-month time frame, there better be a fucking reason we're having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And, young PFC says, aye, aye, sir, and fucking drives on. And, man, I guess I did what I was supposed to do. 6 months later, man, I was standing in his office, and he was like, here you go.
Good luck.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. I read in the book, and it made me smile when I was reading it this morning, where, like you said, not necessarily the battalion commander, the CO, but your corporals, your lance corporals, your sergeants were like, you'll never make it over there.
Oh, yeah.
And it made me chuckle, because I had heard this. Yeah. I think there's, and I wonder why that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's obviously, I'm not looking for a specific answer, right. But I had heard the same thing. They're like, oh, you won't make it. And it's like, is that because maybe you tried and didn't make it, or what? What the fuck?
I think so.
Instead of encouragement, like, yeah, man, you should go try.
I think so.
And I'm glad neither one of us, listened and went and did it.
Man. Yeah, that's a damn shame. I didn't go to Somalia, but I had buddies that did, and I knew guys that were in Ranger Battalion in Somalia, and they said they had that same reaction when they came back, and they would put in for the long walk to go to CAG. I don't know if they called it CAG back then. They probably just called it Delta. And they always told me the same story. Their first sergeant or the fucking sergeant major would look at their paperwork and be like, you better not fucking fail, because you ain't coming back here if you go over there. If you even fucking try out for them, you don't fucking come back here.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's a bizarre, right?
Fuck, bro. Are we not Americans? So even whether it's the Marines, whether it's the Army, man, there's just some weird, psychological I don't have the answer.
Yeah, it's like they don't they talk and they encourage maximum performance and achievement, but anytime somebody starts looking at what do I want to say, farther horizons, they have a tendency to kind of shit on it, and I didn't experience that, like even getting into the sniper community, but I have countless amounts of friends who started off in the infantry. And it was a real struggle just to go take the sniper selection, because nobody wanted to let them go. And I could see it from both sides of the fence. But at the end of the day, it's, that's just added stress. You got the stress of passing and be successful in whatever selection or assessment or training that you're going through. And oh, by the way, if I fuck this up, I might not have a home to go to, knowing full well that you do, but you don't know that at the time. Right.
Yeah. It's just shitty, man. And the only organization that I'm aware of that is different is, and I know this because I wanted to be, once I found out what Delta was, I wanted to be a Delta guy, but that's another story. A buddy of mine, my buddy Rusty Pugh, he was one of the original Triple Canopy guys, SF guy, did a bunch of stuff. We were buddies or roommates in college. A lot of tales of debauchery, but anyway. Rusty was in 20th group and he wanted to be a Delta dude. And he said, from his experience, once you put in for selection and once they say, okay, you are coming to our selection, and I don't know the exact process, but they reach out to that person's chain of command and they say, hey, we have accepted this person into the pre-selection program and you cannot stop it, and you cannot interfere in it. And they're very...
He's 100% correct.
Yeah, and it's like a one-star general's business card that says, look, if you have a question, please call me. I'm General Bob Johnson. But this individual is in... this person could be a national asset one day. You know what I mean? So you cannot stop them, and you cannot interfere. So
correct.
So I think that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's very awesome. Because it's it's a kind of can be a once in a lifetime opportunity. Regardless if you're successful or not, right? It's just I hate to sound cliche, but like honored to have tried, or honored to be selected to go represent or to try, right?
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that's 100% correct. Well, it's so. And once again, reading the book, man, you schooled out early. Like you went through all of it early.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I was, like I said, reading it this morning. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, this guy knocked him out left and right. You know what I mean? Like, this guy fucking he came in at the right time, man. You were knocking him out left and right. I mean, Halo school as a Lance Corporal.
As a Lance Corporal with 5 military jumps.
Holy shit, dude. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Obviously doable, but...
Yeah, doable. Yeah. Like I said, if you follow any of my writings and muses on social media, Facebook and stuff, you'll see a guy named Scott Bucheri. Hope he's okay with me saying. I think he's cool. He went to Halo school with me. He was from First Force. He was a sergeant with like probably 100 jumps. And he was a skydiver on the side, like level D or whatever the class, whatever that class was. And again, man, I'm showing up as a Lance Corporal, bro, with lead sled, the silver wings.
Oh, and you hadn't even gold winged yet. That's right,
no,
5
I
jumps.
Had 5 military jumps, and now I had done some skydiving, and so they were like, okay, there's a pretty good chance this guy will make it through Halo school, and it was one of the most, I would say it's in the top 3. Because there were actually some aviation schools that were actually pretty fun when the Army wasn't around. But Halo school, man, I got to say number 1 or number 2, man, just freaking blast. Bro.
I didn't do it, but I can imagine, yeah. I did. We did.
So fun.
By the time I got around to the recon community, they were doing the MTTs, you were hey-hoing, I guess, in the multi-mission parachute systems, But yeah, I never got to go to Yuma and actually go through the school.
Yeah. Scott Bucheri, man, he was from First Force. Like I said, he showed up. Gold Wings, Ranger Tab, Scuba, Sergeant, team leader from First Force. And then there's me, man, 5 jumps, Lance Corporal, like, hey, man, I'm Kirk. Like, what the fuck? You stand parade wrestle, you talk to me, you fucking boot. What the fuck are you doing here? And it was. I felt bad, orders are orders, you know what I mean? And it's like in the SF community, like that's the pinnacle, man.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You wait for 10, 15 years to go to Halo school for some of those guys.
It's
man.
coveted,
You know what I mean? And it's all these senior E6s and E7s, these sergeant first class and staff sergeants. Dudes that just got back from some rotation in Africa training, whoever, getting in gunfights. And some fucking 20-year-old Lance Corporal's walking in with lead sled, and they're just like, who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you? You don't deserve to be here. And the only thing that kind of saved me was there's an 18-year-old PJ there. And so I was 20 and he was 18, and man, we fucked with the old guys so bad. It was a lot of fun, but he kind of kept me. He drew probably more fire than I did.
Sure.
And he played up his ignorance, which I thought was a pretty good technique from SEER school. He would really play dumb, and it would just piss him off. These guys would be like, I don't know. Hey, put your rucksack together. Well, what's this? I mean, he knew what it was. Because when you get a rucksack,
Sure.
it's in pieces. You have to put it together. And he would play dumb, and then that would piss him off even more. So we just had a great time.
Little reverse psychology on that. Yeah.
So it was a good time, man. It was a great time, man. And that's the thing. I was very fortunate, certainly to knock out all the schools early on. And I am a naturally good runner and a naturally good swimmer, and that helped with training. The problem was it made my ego go way too fucking far. And fortunately for me, I was able to, through life events, I was able to get my ego in check.
Mm-hmm.
Life did that to me. I didn't say, hey, I'm an asshole. No, I was an asshole, man. And boy, so many things I regret from those days. But it definitely made me an extremely arrogant person. And man, I wish I could go back and say I'm sorry to every person I fucked over or whatever. But I was a very arrogant person because of that. So, I
almost can't blame you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's you're fast tracking at that point, right? Yeah. Whether it was through merit or luck or both, and I'm sure it was both, right? Just timing, right? I can imagine that's a lot of Airfingers quote juice, to be walking around with at that rank.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah,
and like I said, man, in the fleet and the active Army SF guys, you waited forever for that. And I got it so early. So maybe I didn't deserve it. I don't know. But, you volunteer for training, and they give you training. And so that's how my unit worked, 3rd Force. Like I said, you volunteer for training, you got training. There were schools I didn't get. I did want to go to sniper school, and I didn't. We sent guys to Scout Sniper, and they did extremely well. Alec Popovic.
I know. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I want to say he was one of Rudy Ray's instructors, I think.
Quantico.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
He sent me a picture of him and Rudy, and I was like, oh, fucking cool, because I'd just seen Generation Kill.
Sure.
And funny cross, whatever here, pollination. The sergeant major in there was my Halo instructor.
Oh, no shit.
Okay.
So once again, I was reading that. I was like, I wonder if it's who I think it is.
Oh, yeah, that's him. That's him, man. He was one of my Halo instructors. Him and Frank Norberry, I guess I can say that name. He was killed a year after I left. He had a tail strike on a DC-3. And the instructors didn't have automatic opening devices. They had beepers. So he was knocked unconscious. And as he's fallen, it's beeping, but it's not going to pull his reserve parachute. So he went into the ground at like 18,000 feet, man.
Yeah.
And he was the Halo jump master in Vietnam on the MACV side. They've recently, I guess, declassified or acknowledged that they did Halo jumps in Vietnam. Well, he was the Halo jump master. It was Frank Norberry. And he was my Halo instructor. So.
It's a dangerous. I think sometimes we take it for granted. It's a very, very dangerous profession.
Yeah.
And one of my very close friends, and I would call mentors, he was actually one of my BRC instructors. He said, you should always say goodbye to your friends, because in this business, even in training, you never know if you're going to see them again.
Yeah, man.
And I remember he said that to me in Afghanistan around the campfire, and I was like, and I was probably in my early 30s at the time, right? And it stuck with me. It'll stick with me to for the rest of my days. It's an inherently dangerous business.
Absolutely.
Training. Say nothing about doing it for realsies. The training alone is very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, man. And then the op tempo of training as well. I was engaged to this girl, and I was always gone, man.
Yeah, you're always gone, constantly gone.
And in retrospect, at the time it crushed me, but in retrospect, why should she put her life and her life on hold for what I'm doing? You know,
Sure.
what I mean, let's just be honest, man. I mean, you only get one life, and she was a nurse in school, and she wanted to have a normal life, and it takes a certain kind of woman to
put up with it.
put up with that shit.
Yeah,
man,
put up with it.
You know?
It's a little bit of a tangent, but I was watching this documentary called Maru. My wife and I were watching this documentary called Maru about mountain climbers,
Okay.
and the documentary is it's insane, and it's these three climbers, and they're basically through the documentary talking about how Vegas odds they're probably not going to make.
Yeah.
They might not make it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not make it to the top.
Yeah,
That's a gimme.
Yeah.
They might not survive it. Right. And so I'm watching this documentary, and just riddled with anxiety, watching what these guys are going through. And at one point I looked over at my wife of 25 plus years, who was a Marine as well, and I said, I cannot fathom what's going through these three guys' minds, that they know that they're probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
And she looked over at me and she goes, says the guy that has run towards the sound of gunfire with his buddies for the past 26 years. You guys are all idiots. And she got me. I just started laughing. She goes, it's the same. They're chasing a different dragon. It's the same
They're chasing,
shit.
It's the same.
I don't know what it is, but you got to chase it.
Yeah.
Hardwired, I guess.
Hardwired, brother. Look at a few hundred years ago, with no real solid maps, with definitely no GPS, you're getting a turnover from a guy that's been at sea for 6 months.
Yeah.
And he's telling you go that way in this wooden boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking 30, 40. I don't know how big were those boats. They couldn't have been that big.
It's bananas.
And there's no replenishment at sea. There's no weather radar to tell if a hurricane's coming that they can just crush that little wooden thing, and you're dead. They'll never find your body, and they'll never know you're dead. You just won't come back.
Yeah, you just be gone.
And dudes are doing it.
Yeah,
Guys
just
are
go
crossing
that
the
way till
ocean,
you see
man.
seagulls.
Yeah, man.
Or whatever.
Yeah, how crazy is that, man?
Yeah, it's so big. It is what guys are, what people, what humans are capable of.
Yeah, man.
It's astonishing.
Yeah.
And you've, I mean, your intro, you've accomplished quite a bit of it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so we're going through all the schools, we're knocking it out, but I got this from the book. We're missing deployments, so we're not getting combat. We're not. You're not getting that itch. Isn't getting scratched.
Yeah, man. It came down to you're exactly right. That's the easy. That's the bottom line. And like I said, the only people who really kind of got it on was a small detachment from Delta and one company of Rangers in Somalia. I was sure we were going to go to Somalia because at the time, dude, Somalia was on the fucking TV all day long.
Mm-hmm.
The gunfight, the crazy shit going on. And the Marines had been there for over a year, and then the administration pulled them out for bullshit reasons. So that had to be the war. And it's in the book. I get a phone call one morning. I'm like, fucking, so here we go. It's like, hey, dude, we're being mobilized. I'm like, fucking Somalia, brother. We're going to the war. And he's like, nah, man, it's a terrorist attack, but we need you here. And it wound up being, it was misidentified. It was a barge had gotten loose and went up the river, hit a support, knocked the rails off by 4 inches, but did not disconnect them. So they were still connected. So that signal never made it to the cab of the train, of a passenger train. A passenger train hit this hit this bridge at like, 80 miles an hour, and the whole thing just went into the water, killed like 50 some odd people.
And where was this?
That was in Bayou Kanat. It was about a week before the Battle of Mogadishu. That's why it didn't make a lot of noise.
That makes sense. That's right. Okay, because I was like, I'm not tracking on this at all.
Right, yeah. So I think the captain reported, I can't, he was investigated by the Coast Guard, obviously, and there's a documentary on it, and I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I think either he reported a missing barge or maybe not. I think the train had an overdue something or another, like, hey, this train should have hit this mark at this time. And,
like missed a comm window, so to speak,
missed
right?
a comm window, yeah. So Mobile is actually the training center. It's like the Top Gun for Coast Guard. So all of the advanced training goes on in Mobile, Alabama. So anyone going into the Coast Guard, once they come out of their flight school, they go through Mobile to do their advanced training. So they do a lot of searching and reconnaissance and stuff like that. So they're like, hey, we got an overdue train. Can you support it? And they're like, yeah. And there's Coast Guard aircraft out. And what the Coast Guard saw was a bridge was gone over the water. Obviously, there should be a bridge there, and it's not. And there's a train burning. They reported that, and it started going up the chain. And how the telephone game happens, it changes a little bit.
Oh, sure.
So eventually, by the time it got to, I think the FBI, the regional SWAT team, there's been a terrorist accident. They've wiped out a bridge. Can you come in? And they're like, yeah, we don't have combat divers, but Third Force does, and we had a good relationship. So that's how that came together. And then the HRT, you have the region, and I don't know if it's still this way.
It is.
You have regional SWAT teams, and then you have the HRT, which these are two different organizations.
Yeah, the FBI Hostage Rescue Team. And for the audience sake, in the last of my knowledge, 39 regional SWAT teams across the country, coast to coast, and then the FBI Hostage Rescue Team, which is a very highly trained unit. A lot of good dudes there. Shout out to those guys. They reside in Quantico. They're kind of their tier 1 asset.
That's right, and they are. I think they go to Key West. Like when I went to Key West, I saw where the guys had scribbled on the guys had been HRT guys that went to that course. So they had dive capability, but they couldn't get there till later in the day.
Sure.
We were right there, and so it's like we go in, and we did basically a body recovery dive, but we were mobilized to do that. And I thought the mobilization was for Somalia, and it wasn't. And then the Battle of Mogadishu goes on, and I'm like, okay, now for sure we're going to war. And they, instead of, and we had this conversation about projecting weakness. I'm not saying it's not nothing to lose a couple of helicopters and 19 men, and I'm not saying that's nothing. It's not, but you're going to have losses, and you have to keep moving forward. And what the administration did at that time was just pull out everybody, just a power vacuum, and that, in the eyes of our enemy, made us look like cowards as Americans, which was documented as one of the contributing factors to September 11th, by the way. Because they saw what we did in Somalia. So we didn't go to Somalia, and we trained for Bosnia. But again, the only guys really do anything were Delta dudes. And I was like, man, that's the only way I'm going to get to do anything cool is to go there. And the easy answer is, by the time I figured it out, I was probably too old. I didn't figure it out until GWAT, how to get to Delta. But so I started looking at federal law enforcement jobs, and I looked at the marshals, SOG.
Yep.
Because that looked cool as an outsider until one of Rusty's buddies who had actually worked with them told me kind of like, inside baseball, like, hey, man, you're going to be disappointed everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, these high-speed units, man, there's going to be shitbags. It's just not cool. But I knew that it was something versus what I was doing was nothing. I was doing a lot of training, and again, I wasn't married, but I had been engaged to that girl, and that didn't work out, obviously. So I was like, well, I got to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found out about the Diplomatic Security Service within the State Department, and at the time, the requirements were a 4-year degree and 4 years of law enforcement. So,
and what year was this?
This was 95, 96 time frame.
No shit. The department is okay. Go continue.
Yeah, and it may have changed. They may have different terminology now, but at the time it was called DSS, Diplomatic Security Service, and it was within the State Department, and you went to war zones. So I'm like, okay, well, fuck. At least you for sure go to war zones. At least I'll have that going for me. So I was like, so I went, got back in school, and I was like, I'll get my degree, and then I'll keep applying to these law enforcement organizations. So I'll have my degree, and I'll have 4 years law enforcement. Then I'll go to DSS and finally have the fucking career that I want, right? So I had the college thing down, but not the law enforcement, and nobody would ever fucking hire me, man.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Hyperaggression or whatever, some bullshit answer. Yeah, yeah, surprisingly selective, and I don't mean that in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bizarre. The standards are what the standards are in both good and bad aspects.
Yeah. So man, you got to do something for a living, and I swear, man, with God as my witness, the only fucking people that wanted to hire me was the bars, because I was willing to fight somebody. Man. So for 8 years of my life, I was a bouncer, man. That's what I did for 8 years. Trying to get a law enforcement job, but if they don't hire you, you still got to pay the bills.
Sure.
I mean? So that's what I did for 8 years, man. I just fucking broke up fights and checked IDs, and what are you gonna do? And
I bounced a ton when I moonlighted when I was when I was at Quantico. I bounced a ton, and it's an entertaining job to say the least. Doesn't pay great, but it's enough. It's entertaining.
Yeah, unless you're single and don't have a lot of bills, which I was, and all I wanted to do was lift weights, and obviously you meet a lot of girls, and I'll let the audience do. Because my wife might listen to this, so I'm gonna get too crazy, but I lived the life that I wanted to live, hands down, as far as getting to do what I wanted to do other than the combat stuff. But one day, man, you're just like, a million things. I knew I wasn't going to do it forever, but I never could find something else. And then, September 11th happened. I went to the recruiter, and he was like, nah, man, this is going to be over in 6 months. Don't do this. I'm not going to fucking bring
it. And you had said you had tried to go, you were out of the Marine Corps, and that was a prior service recruiter.
Yeah.
And
he was a gunner sergeant, man. I think he was the NCOIC of that station. You know what I'm saying? So I imagine he would get credit for bringing me in, and you're always trying to bring people in.
I just can't, and I can't imagine him, like I had to read it twice. I was like, yeah, that's incredible that he turned you away or tried to talk you out of it.
Yeah. It's like, for the first time in a long time, actually mentorship, like, hey, young Marine, you don't want to do that, man. It's going to be over in 6 months. You don't want to do this shit. And then my manager, he was an ex-Army guy, and he went to the Army recruiter, and it was like, oh yeah,
sure,
not here, and he was not infantry in his previous MOS, but he wanted to be infantry this time. And they're like, yeah, absolutely, dude. Fuck yeah, 11 Bravo, brother, 0300 infantry. You made it.
You made it.
Yeah, you made it. So, man, within a couple of weeks, man, he was out of the bar, and he was out there, shooting machine guns. And I'm still fucking breaking up fights for $10 an hour. I'm like, what the fuck? I think I told a story in the book about these Rangers coming into this one bar I was working at in Atlanta. I knew they were military. I didn't know who they were, where they were from, but it was just so obvious. It was like this 5 dudes with fucking, Bert and Ernie's or whatever in the corner, kind of looking around, drinking the beer. And I'm like, okay, watch this shit. So I walk up there, and I'm like, okay, man, what unit are you from? And they're like, we're from the Ranger Battalion, sir, or whatever. I was like, okay, fucking.
Behave yourselves.
Yeah,
first
man.
and foremost.
Right. I was like, okay, well, welcome to whatever club that was. And it was a 20, we had a 24-hour license at this club. So when the strippers got off work, they would come in there and party, right?
Yeah.
And you know, man, I'm one of the bouncers at this place. And fuck, I know a lot of, I mean, you figure it out, right? I want to say it. Like I said, my wife might watch this. But a lot of girls were coming in who were extremely attractive, who knew me for whatever reason. And, hi, Kirk, that type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got these 5 fucking death dealer fucking Rangers, like, living in the woods and shit all the time. And fucking here's some jackass with Marine tattoos. And every big titty girl is walking in and hugging me. And they're just like, oh, fuck, you're the man. And I'm like, no, man, you guys are the man. Because they had just, and I'm sure you know this, maybe your audience doesn't. After September 11th, I think a couple of ODAs went to, and obviously the Tier 1 units went to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had decided that they needed to take Kandahar Airfield.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, Airfield Seizure was a Ranger Battalion mission. So
Yep.
these dudes had been training for 20 years, and it's like, hey, put me in, coach. So these dudes had done a combat jump into Kandahar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever see you can see it on the internet or whatever, the video, those guys jump. Well, that was these guys. And I'm listening to their stories like, this is what I want to do. And they're looking at all the chicks, hanging on me, and I'm what they wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we want to switch.
Let's trade places.
Yeah, let's trade
right?
places, man. All the glitters is not gold.
Yeah.
Which I found out, and I'm sure they would find out eventually. But I told you about my buddy Rusty. He actually went to Triple Canopy when they started up because he knew all the CAG dudes who created that company.
And for the audience sake, Triple Canopy was a very early on paramilitary contracting company that was extremely lucrative when they first came on the scene, if you will.
Oh, yeah. And so I talked to the recruiter, good guy, and I wound up working with him in the special programs years later, which is a funny story. But they were extremely selective, bro. If you were not,
I remember.
Oh, dude, holy shit. And like I said, it was all CAG dudes, all Delta dudes. And the guy I talked to, he goes, all right, Kirk, Rusty sent us your resume. I like it. Tell me about your last gunfight. I was like, fuck, man, he's going to know if I lie to him. Just be honest. I said, man, I've never been in a gunfight. 2002, 3, whenever. I said, man, I've never been in a gunfight.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Have you ever done deployment? I said, man, I've been to Latin America. Anything else? Well, I did counter-narcotics operations, Joint Task Force 6. It was a special operations only, thing, blah, blah, blah.
I remember.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, man, that's cool. Look, man, I'm going to hold on to your resume. What we really need is combat veterans right now, man. I think you're a good guy. I'm going to hold on to this, man, but I can't hire you. I said, okay, well, I appreciate your honesty. I was like, God damn, how do I get combat experience without getting combat experience?
No shit. Right, exactly.
So I told Rusty, I was like, man, fuck, dude, they turned me down. He's like, well, I thought they might give you because we're buddies. But call this guy, man. There's a company in North Carolina called Blackwater, and I think they might be a little more friendly to you. They're trying to plus up their numbers. And I called the number. The guy's name was Eric, and as far as I could tell, it was the owner of the. Now, years later, I was like, "Fuck, that was the owner," because I remember at the time it was a shitty little training company. It wasn't like people are like, "Oh, I've heard of Blackwater." In early '04, nobody heard of Blackwater. It was a fucking little training facility up in fucking North Carolina,
in the swamp.
In the swamp, and I'm 99% certain that was the owner. And they met at some training thing or whatever. And he just knew that he was associated with Blackwater. Anyway, so I talked to HR, and I was like, I was recommended by Eric. They're like, really? I was like, yeah. And I think the internet, we had the internet, but it was mostly email stuff. And they're just like, send us your resume, blah, blah, blah. So I sent it to them. And, man, holy shit, man, that was just the start of an entirely new life.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just everything in the past, nothing from the past. Looking back at this point, nothing could happen to me, knock on wood, at this point to drag me down to what the life I had before that. I know that you can climb out of anything, but they were the catalyst for me climbing out of that. And to be quite honest, sending me to combat to experience what I had always wanted to experience. So they were the ones.
When you showed up to the the lodge, the lodge. Everybody know. Well, anybody that's been been there knows the lodge, right? Like, I could relate immediately to because my time at Blackwater was short, only because they had lost the contract after I'd been through selection, right? But walking into the lodge for the first time and seeing all those operators, right, of kind of from every walk of life and every branch of service, you get the sense of, okay, I'm kind of with my people, I'm home.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And fuck, I hope I make it through selection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seriously, man. What a crazy situation, because it's like, I don't think in my time in the Marines I'd ever worked with not that I don't remember ever working with a Tier 1 unit. It's certainly not a foreign Tier 1 unit.
Mm-hmm.
And you got an SAS guy fucking there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, cheers, mate. You're in the bathroom taking a piss, and I'm like, fucking SAS, man. Holy shit. And then, you go to the chow hall, and there's some fucking Delta Sergeant Major from goddamn Black Hawk Down, and there's all these, damn net guys from, Panama and everywhere else. I mean, literally personal friends of Dick Marcinko type of shit. And you're just like, what the fuck am I doing here, man? But in the back of your mind, you're like, man, I hope I make it.
Yeah. And it turns out they put the cereal in the bowl and then the milk just like everybody else, right? You know what I mean? And it's it's
never meet your heroes.
Right. It's
never meet your heroes.
Yeah. Very, very capable dudes, obviously.
Sure.
And then you find out I felt the same way, and I had the very, very similar experience when I got over to Kabul. You look to the left, you look to the right, you're like, oh, okay. And turns out everybody has good days and bad days, and everyone's a high performer.
Everybody's a high performer, man. And I'm not taking anything away from any of those guys.
Oh God, no, yeah, never in a million years.
Yeah, and I'm not comparing myself to them, but man, when at some the special programs are something different, but at that level, man, you find yourself sometimes maybe you outshoot a Tier 1 guy, and you're just holy shit, man, I just fucking outshot that guy. You know what I mean? Fuck, he was my hero, and now he's fuck him. Not really, but yeah, I mean you can have really good days, and they can have really bad days, and people have good days and bad days, and you see people fail selection that have resumes that would humble you.
Sure. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Do you ever work with Goldberg? Yes. He taught me that phrase. Resumes that would humble you, and he taught me some other stuff, but solid guy, man. And I think I don't know if you're at that point in the book, but once I made it to the special programs, he was one of my team leaders, and we were on the hand grenade range, and his big thing was keeping everybody humble at the safe house that we lived in out near, we'll just say near the Pakistani border. And in those days, we're still looking for Bin Laden, and we had some damn net guys there with us. And to be fair, man, they would have been the ones to go get it. We would have probably found this person, an HVT or whatever, but they would have been the ones.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But they were there, and we were all kind of co-located. But every now and then, somebody would get, mouthy, and he would be like, I've been killing the enemies of this country since 1983, and that was his phrase, and we liked it until one day on the grenade range. He threw a grenade, and it didn't detonate. And we had a bunch of different types of grenades. Remember,
sure.
You had to be fucking spun up on all these foreign weapons and shit. And it might have been a U.S. grenade. I can't, but it had two safeties. And I was just, trying to help him troubleshoot. Like, hey, Steve, did you thumb off both safeties? Expecting, like, oh yeah, I did. And his. God damn it, Tadpole, I've been killing enemies of this country since 1983.
I'm incapable of making a mistake.
Yeah, fuck, okay, Roger. And then, we all get online and, 1 foot forward, take a left or right, 1 foot forward. And then I saw it, and I'm like, fuck, God okay, Steve, there's your fucking grenade. But it's it can't be this. That silver thing couldn't be the safety because you've been killing the enemies of this country since 1983. I never let him forget that. But anyway, Steve Dove Goldberg.
You meet the. I'll say this. I'm sure you meet. They're just the best dudes, right? Like it's like when I look back on my time there, it's being associated with that caliber of individual and the things that I learned and the things that I took away from, and it's just simply invaluable. Yeah. Like to me, it was invaluable. The experience, they're just the highest caliber dudes, right?
Man.
And but that doesn't mean no one's infallible.
No,
right? People make mistakes all the time,
absolutely.
and the humility, and you spoke to it. I think that was what humbled me, right? And I I'm sure there's people that listen to this will be like, God, you were the biggest asshole on the planet, right? And I'm sure there was days that I were. I apologize.
Absolutely.
I will continue to apologize. I like to say that was back when I was young and immature.
Yeah,
right?
I owe a lot of people apologies. Man, full disclosure.
But the humility, because you just had to be. You had to be humble because on any given day, right? Yeah. You were going to eat somebody's lunch or somebody was going to eat yours, right?
Absolutely.
But take me back. So, and I know we're jumping around a little. No.
That's probably me.
We're the State Department. So did the State Department DOS stuff? Like, how long did you do? How many deployments did you do with DOS?
Yeah, two deployments. One was to Karbala, and that's where I met James Flynn. That's where I got my call sign 7. We talked about over dinner. And Doug Ford, Matt, or Ken, who's a Chicago cop. Not he just retired last year. Solid people. It was Crow Mag. So many guys. Unfortunately, and I take full responsibility for that. I went to war, but was not in combat in Karbala. It was a war. I was in Iraq in 2004, the summer, but I never got attacked during that time, and it made me even more arrogant. And I wish I could, go back and change that, but it is what it is.
Well, and for the audience's education, what was your role or your function, mission, objectives on a day-to-day basis while you were there?
Yeah. Initially, I started out as a machine gunner on what they call the diamond. When you protect a dignitary who is under high threat, and he is the representative of the ambassador. So he is a State Department employee, and he might be an ambassador one day. So this guy's a big deal, and he has a detail or a group of bodyguards. You call it a detail. Whenever he is physically moving outside of an armored vehicle, and his armored vehicle is called a limo. It might be a Suburban, it could be, but you refer to it as the limo. So if you ever hear someone say limo, and I know you know this for the audience. So whenever he is physically outside of the limo, he has a diamond on him, person in front of him, behind him, and to each side. I was in the rear of the diamond with the machine gun. I had an M249 saw. That was a big deal. It was a lot of responsibility because you're the guy that helps break contact with the machine gun. And where else in your life in the world are you going to see bodyguards with a belt-fed machine gun? And I was the only guy that had that. Now, other details and other locations had it as well. But I'm the only machine gunner on the team, and I felt invincible, bro. I felt like a fucking superhero. You know what I mean? I'm walking around with 800 rounds of ammunition, or 600 rounds on my kit, and then I think I had what they call the nut sack, which is a 50 rounder, 50 or 100. Anyway, I think it's 50. So, man, you're basically taking this guy to high threat meetings, and you're doing it in a motorcade. And like I said, man, I felt fucking invincible.
In the primary threats, small arms fire, VBIEDs, IEDs, right, RPGs.
Yeah, or because you're in a motorcade, and I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. This was considered a high-profile detail. The State Department, that's just their bag. They do not dig low-pro shit. For whatever reason. They like the idea of, we're America, we represent America, look at all our shiny Suburbans. That's just their thing. So I thought it was cool because there's like 14 of us with fucking guns and grenades. You could carry grenades back then before the DOS really got said, okay, this is the contract and this is what you will have. It was fucking anything goes, brother.
Anything goes,
we had
right?
Hand grenades. We had a PKM. That's a Russian fucking machine gun, brother. We had one in the gun truck. We had law rockets. We had 40 millimeter, the 203. Peanut had one of those. I mean, it's just fucking crazy.
A lot of
man.
teeth.
A lot of teeth.
Yeah. And you need it too because you know what I'm saying? Like, 14 dudes isn't, it's not a lot of dudes.
It's not a lot of dudes when you go against, professionals or an ambush, But yeah, the primary, when you're in the vehicle, you're concerned about IEDs or VBIEDs. Once you get on venue, they call it a venue. Once you get to the place where you're having the meeting, you're concerned about insider attacks, small arms fire, and snipers. And the sniper story will come later. But that's your concern. There is things like, does a guy have a satchel charge or a grenade? You want to search stuff coming in, and so you have a K9. So the K9 searches anyone coming up to the principal, and the principal is the guy you're protecting. After about a month or so, the team leader, Peanut, Doug Fort, another recon Marine, he was like, hey, man, been some talk, man. How would you like to be a driver? How would you like to be the gun truck driver? And I was like, fucking yeah. I mean, dude, this thing was just so badass. It was a Suburban. It was a thin-skinned Suburban with these bullshit metal plates that they hung on the side. Like, I didn't know any better. Like, oh, fuck, I don't need that. I'm faster without it, No, kid, that's stupid. But so I drove the gun truck later. But the job is to take this person safely to high-threat meetings, wait with him during the meetings, put him back in the vehicle, and go home and not get killed. Like I said, nothing happened, which is fortunate, but nothing happened to me when I was in Karbala. And so it was time to rotate out, and I rotated out with a guy named James Kentrell. He was my replacement. And I forgot who the other replacement was. But we started picking up, because we didn't have helicopters back then. We didn't have them, and the Army didn't have enough, and the State Department did not own helicopters back in '04. And you still got to move people around. So we were driving from Karbala over to Hilla and Najaf, picking guys up and taking them to the airport and back. And you get to see the countryside and all that. And nothing ever happened to me. And like about a week after I left, man, airport run, they were coming back, and my vehicle got ID'd. And that little shitty armor, because it was a thin-skinned vehicle, did nothing. All the frag went through the vehicle, and it killed my replacement. James Kentrell was killed, and it would have been me had I still been there. My team leader, Bruce Durr, a Marine, retired Marine, was killed. We had another guy, I think he was surgical, urgent medevac. He did survive, is my understanding. But that vehicle, and there's a video of it. I've got the video, and so... So I'm home all hyped up like, oh, fuck yeah, man, the war's over. And then I get a text like, hey, man, Tracker was his call sign. Hey, man, Tracker and B are dead. And you're the only guy home. And if you could go to the funeral and represent us, that would be great. And, man, I had a fucking mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Just like that. One day you're on top of the world, and then the guy that took your place is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have been you. You realize that could have been you. You drove up and down that fucking road how many times?
1,000 times, right?
1,000 fucking times, man. And I went to the funeral, and I had another mental breakdown. The brain is a strange thing to describe or figure out. And I was inconsolable, man. I could not move. I was just crying and coughing and contorting, and I had no control over my body. And then like a week or two later, Blackwater was like, okay, we're starting to lose guys on these airport runs, and we still need to do airport runs. And then they were like, well, we need helicopters. So then they found out about this contract called Skylink, and they had Mi-17s. And Mi-17, it's a Russian tactical transport helicopter. Well, the Russian mentality is to just build thousands of them. They don't give a shit about quality.
Right.
A Black Hawk helicopter is a very quality built aircraft. Mi-17 is not. It's a cookie cutter. So the fuel cells are not crash worthy. They're not ballistic protected. The seats are not attenuating, meaning if you were to impact, the seats would not crumple.
You might as well not even be on one. Yeah.
You don't even need to sit on
yeah.
one.
yeah.
And no defensive equipment. So, Blackwater's like, hey, man, we're going to start using aircraft, and that'll reduce the threat because now you won't get ID'd. Now, it's a good idea, but again, the insurgency is just coming into
full swing.
Full swing.
Yeah.
So they did the right thing with what they had, but again, it's an Mi-17 with no defensive equipment, and no one survived the shoot down, so we don't have any witnesses. But it was probably a man-pad, a surface-to-air missile, shoulder fired, that took it down, and man, it killed. I think it was 7 or 8 Blackwater guys,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the Tikrit. Yeah, it was the Tikrit team, and I was supposed to go to the Tikrit team. Not then. I was supposed to go a week later, and the team leader, Doug Ford, had been my team leader in Karbala, and he was on that helicopter,
Mm-hmm.
and he realized that he had left his go bag with some comm gear in the ADAG or the FBO, whatever they called it. So he told the pilot, and I didn't know the pilot extremely well, but that helicopter used to come to Karbala and do resupply for the Polish dental station. So I had been in that exact helicopter before and had talked to that guy. But Doug had realized he left his gear. He's like, fuck. So he told the pilot, he said, man, I'm sorry, this crypto is an embed or something. I got to go get it. Him and the team leader, him and the ATL ran out there to grab the bag, and we're coming back, and the guy pointed to his watch and took off. Just like that, it saved his life because they were shot down like 20 minutes later, man.
Yeah, it's a fucking crazy, dude, right?
Yeah.
Like I had to read that twice too. I was like, wait, what? I was like, it 100% makes sense, right? Because there is no plus or minus 30. Like, we got to go.
Yeah, man.
It's not because I want to. It's because I fucking have to, right? Thank God he left that shit, and obviously it's very, very unfortunate. But one thing I wanted to ask you, because I dealt with it a little bit myself, like when you're obviously in the military and you're in a combat zone, you don't have a choice. You're there, right? And you realize very, very quickly that you don't have control of much of anything.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're contracting, you've got a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's more than a few. And I'm not saying this in a negative light. This is a very human thing, right?
Sure.
Like, the money is fantastic. You're chasing the dragon. You're on top of the world. You're the rock stars, right?
Yeah.
It is a rock star existence compared to living in a fighting hole as an 0311 or what have you, right? But when you start taking casualties and you start taking KIAs, it's like, do I want to go? But was that choice? Was that I mean, obviously you continue to go back. We're not even halfway through your story, but you know what I'm referencing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I had seen it's a combination of things. I can tell you about me, and I can guess at some of the other people. But man, just being honest, for however you look at me, this was all I wanted to do with my life.
I completely understand. Yeah, which is why I asked. I mean, I know the answer because you kept going back, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of dudes that don't, and I completely understand why.
And if you're out there, man, and you're one of those guys, man, you're still a teammate. You're still a brother.
Oh, fucking
you're
A.
still a man.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, fuck no, man. You made the right choice for you. There's no nothing disparaging about that at all. Fuck no. But I knew that I was one of these guys. Like, I could see myself in all of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these were the people I wanted. Like, it reminded me of high school when I was trying to figure out which way to go, and I'm like, well, who do I hang out with, and what are they going to do with their life? And it was like, this guy's going to the infantry. He's going to be an infantry officer. This guy's going to be an infantry officer. This guy's trying to go to the Rangers. You know, this guy, you know, he could go to airborne school, but he has to go to Ranger school during his son. You know, so it was kind of like high school, meaning these were the people I wanted.
You
to
knew
be
your
around.
tribe.
I knew my tribe, and so then it became not that there aren't issues that go with that, because you know, I don't know, discipline or whatever the fuck you want to call it, man, takes a backseat to the very human realization that you could die in a very horrible fucking way in a shitty country, and man, nobody would even fucking really know. I mean, I wasn't married, you know, but these were the people I wanted to be around. I wanted to keep going back. I just wanted to get better at my job, basically, and you know, man, like I said, I had, goddamn, man, I had at least 2 mental breakdowns. I mean, solid collapsing of the body and the brain.
Yeah, just crack like an egg.
Like an egg, man, like a fucking egg. And you know, that was before Ramadi, which was also a DOS gig. But Ramadi and all these things together was actually what drove me to the special programs. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go to war because I've seen the other side. I've seen civilian life. You know, I've seen what's out there. I've seen trying to be a cop somewhere. I've seen, you know, what society thinks of, you know, the sheepdog or whatever. Yeah, they don't give a fuck, man. And maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. But so I was not meant for that. I was meant for this, what I was doing. But I had to find another way to go to war. There had to be something else for me and people like me. You know what I mean? Like here's our tribe, but I had to find that very fucking top.
You're trying to get to what we call the end of the road.
The end of the road.
You know, the end of the road or the top of the ladder or what have you, right? I can understand. And it's a very interesting story, because I can, you know, I didn't do the State Department stuff. I kind of, you know, I'll call it lucked out and kind of went to the program right off the bat. But there was pros and cons to that too, because I had none of the experiences that you had, right? So a lot of OJT for me right when I showed up. But yeah, I mean, it's a common kind of like, okay, what's next? What else? What's next? What else? Right? I can relate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you got the same story. You know, it's like we're all the same people. We're all the same person. Every one of us is the same person, and that's why in a country of, you know, 350 million people, there were only 150 of us at any one time deployable. You know, that's a fucking tiny little. I think it was about 150 guys at one time, and that's why all of us have that same story. You know, it's just this incredibly tiny little fucking group of people. And by the same token, that's why it's so fucking destructive when guys end their lives.
Yeah.
You know, man, you're just like, fuck, dude, don't do that, man.
Yeah.
But,
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's something, and it's unfortunately a common topic, and it's you know, someday we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? There's plenty of programs out there right now. We talk about it quite a bit on the show. I know it's you know, and if guys are listening, guys and gals are listening out there, seek those programs out. They're monumentally beneficial. So yeah, but it's so you getting to Ramadi. That experience in Ramadi, like you talked about in the book, I don't know if anyone can, you know, we're attempting to do it justice, but you know, like, take me through the experiences in Ramadi.
Absolutely, man. Basically, man, you know, I had been wanting to go to war my whole life, and even went to war, but didn't see combat. And in the back of my mind, I still want it. And I still am asking for it. And it came to me. It was a phone call. and even though Bruce and James were fucking killed, even though that helicopter shot down, even though Sparky was killed on his last day in country driving out to Ramadi, even after all that shit, I still wanted it. And I got what I asked for. I got a phone call like, hey, man, we're going to need you in the next couple of days. I was like, okay, I'm going to Tikrit with Peanut. They're like, no, man, the Tikrit team is dead. They're all dead. They were killed on the helicopter. You're going to Ramadi. Like, roger that. I'd fucking never heard of Ramadi. I didn't know what the fuck it was. Or actually, they said I was going to Iraq, and I assumed I was going to Tikrit. But once I got to Baghdad, they start calling out your name and, where you going, and they said Ramadi. And I was just like, that sounds like it was like an ominous name. Like, fuck, there's something weird energy about that name. And I asked somebody, you ever heard of Ramadi? And it was just like, yeah, you're going to Ramadi? Yeah.
Like, I don't like that look at all.
I don't like fucking that look at all, dude. That's not fucking cool. And he had been there with the grunts, man, in the Marines, and it was just goddamn,
He's a meat grinder.
Yeah, meat grinder. This is a fucking meat grinder, brother. And it never stopped being a meat grinder. But yeah, so I show up in Ramadi, and I had been a driver. I was told early on, I think it was the SAS guys, because the SAS guys, I dare, and I may be wrong, but I dare say they kind of originated and protected or perfected the art of coming out of Tier 1 and guarding a VIP, a celebrity or something.
I would say that's accurate. Right. Yeah, they were the first for a lot.
For a lot of
shit.
Yeah,
for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kudos to the SAS.
Yeah, the British Special Air Service.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things the SAS guy, and I forgot who it was it Baz or Gas? But anyway, one of the things he taught me at Blackwater, he goes, Kirk, if you're going to do this job for a long time, and I think you are, the way that you have longevity in this career is to be a really good driver. Because there's always a need for a good driver, and if you fuck up driving, it's obvious, because you destroy probably a $300,000 vehicle. So I had been a good driver, according to these guys. I had been a good driver in Karbala, driving the gun truck. So here's this team leader in Ramadi being given a shit sandwich, like, hey, motherfucker, here's 14 guys, get them ready to go downtown Ramadi, pull it out of your ass, you got 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, man, how much stress is that, right? And then here's my jackass coming in there, and he's just trying to fill fucking slots. He's trying to do his job. And he's like, all right, Tadpole, they say you're a good driver. You're the limo driver. And I didn't want to be the limo driver because you don't get to shoot, right? And I said that. What a dick fucking thing to say, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, looking back on it now,
back, what a fucking asshole I was, man. And fucking this guy had so many problems that he had to fucking solve. And there I am, fucking, I've got, it's considered the most prestigious job.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. But I didn't want that job. I wanted to carry a machine gun or shoot or something like that. I wanted to be on the diamond maybe, because I knew Ramadi was hot and I'd probably get in a gunfight, right? And he's just like, God damn it. He had enough, man. He was a short guy with the Napoleon complex, and he had all these problems, and he's got 72 hours to, create this, pull this giant shit fucking thing and make a baked, bake a pie out of a pile of dog shit or whatever.
Yeah.
And there I am, my jackass. I don't want to be a limo driver, and he lost his shit. He went high and to the right. He's like, God damn it, Tadpole. They say you're a goddamn driver. Here, you're a driver. I'm the team leader. You're a goddamn driver. I'm in charge. You're not. Get the fuck out there. Prep the goddamn fucking vehicle. It's that S600 with all the goddamn bullet holes, because last time we went downtown, we got the shit shot out of us.
Right.
And fucking you're going to keep him alive.
Oh, yeah. I can hear it. I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%.
Just like, deer caught in the headlights. And I'm like, he's right. I didn't like his delivery and some of the other shit he did here and there, but he was right. And there's a video. Jason Morrison was in it. I think he was the driver of that limo. when
I'm
they
pretty
got-
sure I've seen it.
Yeah, it's like a crazy video, man. RPGs coming around and shit.
Yep, I
man.
have seen it.
God damn, man, they're just so lucky.
This is Wild West.
Wild West, brother.
Yeah.
And they're just so lucky that they didn't lose like half their dudes, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the fucking limo I drove. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's how that's going to go. The team leader has spoken. So I went back there and I washed the car and I, put some Gatorade in the back seat and I'm like, hey, this is my fucking job. I drive a fucking car. But then it kind of dawned on me because I didn't have any like real combat experience. And I'm on a team of about, 12, 14 dudes. And every single dude had legit fucking trigger time. We had a damn net guy there who had been in Panama and did all this shit. We had SF dudes, we had range of bad dudes. And then all the Blackwater guys had been in legit gunfights down in Karbala or Al Hilla, Najaf. Najaf was like this. Najaf put Blackwater on the map because it was like 5 or 6 contractors took on the Mahdi army and fucking won, bro. You know what I mean? Crazy shit. So these dudes had combat experience. I didn't. And they were all collectively telling me very matter-of-factly, Kirk, you're going to drive the limo and you're going to have the boss. We're going to get attacked. They're going to try to kill you and him. You're going to get off the X. We're going to stay there and fight. And they weren't saying it, but they were implying that they could die. And I knew they could die. And they knew they could die. And they were all sacrificing, not for me personally, but for the mission, because the mission is to protect the principal, and I had the principal. So I had to look at it a different way.
Oh, sure.
I can't be an asshole. Like, I don't want this job. These dudes are literally fucking, probably going to, at least 1 or 2 of these guys is going to die in the next 90 days protecting me. And they did, a guy did. So, man, I just really had to change my fucking attitude. And I did. And I think what you're alluding to, it was a big deal at the time, and it's certainly great after-action topic. And with your background, I'll just preface it by saying I don't think you can appreciate 100% the capability of a sniper on the modern battlefield. What you bring to the table. No one, I don't even think you know the power that you can project on a modern battlefield, not just in terms of kinetic,
Psychological. Yeah, it's
Jesus
crippling.
Fucking Christ, it's crippling, man. And I know because I was on the receiving end. Man, just another day, going downtown Ramadi, and obviously a lot of looking back. There's plenty of indicators.
Sure.
The interpreter didn't want to go. He had been bitching and moaning, so I blew it off. But at the end of the day, that was the only time he said, no, I'm not going. We get down there, and there's IEDs here and there. That's an indicator. Watching little vans stop here and there and unload only military-age males, and they're sprinting. That's a fucking indicator, and you see it several times. There were a couple of, I guess you'd say, sniper shots inbound into the Governor's Center. They didn't hit anybody at the time, and then we had a guy like, fuck this, man. I'm not sitting here, and he engaged targets. But I'm sitting there in the limo, like I said, man, just that's my job. I drive the fucking limo. Here I am.
Drivers drive.
Drivers drive, shooters shoot, leaders lead.
Mm-hmm.
And we're only supposed to be there for 30 minutes, and then the team leader's like, man, fuck, we're going to be here all goddamn day.
Mm-hmm. Been there.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that story. But he's like, all right, let's start swapping guys out. And he just, it's just a mathematical fucking thing. It's nothing personal. It's
Right.
nothing, you know what I mean? Tadpole is sitting in a goddamn air-conditioned car. And I got an 18 Delta and fucking a counter sniper, and another guy in a counter sniper position in the fucking tower. You know what I mean? It wasn't personal. It's just, okay, you are going here. You are going here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just, you're just rotating dudes. So I went and bumped the 18 Delta, Dallas, and I'm there with Tommy Jakner. Tommy, another University of Alabama guy, former Ranger Battalion guy, I believe. And after September 11th, he joined 20th Group, and he was going to go SF. He owned a restaurant and a bar, and he was a successful businessman. But because of the personalities that people like us have, that sense of duty or responsibility or whatever, instead of just hanging out at, his business making money, he decided to, like I said, go to 20th Group, and his selection date was a long time out, so he joined Blackwater. And he was over there on a State Department gig with me, and we were in the tower, and he had binos, and he was looking to the north, and I was looking east, and like I said, there was a lot of fucking indicators, man. There's a car across the street that was not supposed to be there. And the Marines said they searched it, and I had every reason to believe that they did. But there was a video camera in there. We found out later. Once the NCIS guys showed up and started investigating everything, obviously a lot of stuff came,
You came to light.
Right, it came to light.
Yeah.
But man, we're just sitting there, we're talking, and he was actually, you probably worked with Heist before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He had learned, Heist, another scout sniper, had put on classes on counter sniper operations.
Mm-hmm.
None of us were experts, but we at least had some knowledge from Heist. So thank you, Heisterman. And Tommy was talking about it. We were having conversations, and I'll tell you a quick funny story. Actually, that day, we knew there was something wrong with this car. It wasn't supposed to be there. There's just something wrong. Why is a car? It's the only car there, and it's right in front of our fucking tower. Get this goddamn car out of here. And after about an hour, we saw these 3 fucking Bradleys coming down Route Michigan, and I'm like, oh fuck. It's an ID. It's a V-bid.
Sure.
It's probably 1,000 pounds worth of shit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been waiting on those Bradleys. And the tower, it's 2 stories up, and it's got open windows, but it is kind of brick. And I was like, fuck, I better take cover. So I get down, man, and I cover my ears. I'm like, man, this is gonna really.
This is gonna suck.
This is gonna suck so
This is
fucking
gonna
bad.
suck so bad.
It's gonna be the shittiest thing ever, man. Oh my god, I'm gonna be, oh, fuck. Open your mouth, don't,
Yep.
don't rattle the teeth or whatever. I felt like somebody was staring at me. I was like, so I looked up, and it was Tommy Jakner, and he's looking at me like, the fuck you doing? That ain't gonna help. That's 1,000-pound goddamn V-bid. We're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he just fucking took a knee and started, and I was like, yeah, he's right. We're dead. Fuck it. So I just started looking. The Bradleys went by, and it didn't blow up. So it wasn't a V-bid, or it didn't cook off. But that was my little funny story from the day, man. He was just like, hey, we're bro, no, that's fucking 20 meters from us.
Yeah.
At least 1,000 pounds of explosives.
Yeah. And we won't even know it.
We won't even know
We'll just
it, bro.
wake up in the afterlife or whatever.
Yeah, just get back to your fucking
Primary task.
Primary task.
Yeah.
So, man, God, that was a crazy son of a bitch, man. But like I said, we're supposed to be here 30 minutes, man, and then I heard and I'd heard shots a couple of times that morning, the cracks, that you hear in an urban environment. And I'm sure people have seen them on, the YouTube or Rumble or whatever, to get an idea of what it sounds like. But you hear these cracks, and you get a general idea of where it is. And you're talking about a 4.5 hour time period. You see what I'm saying? And every 30 minutes, something really weird happens. But I heard a crack, and I was just like, and at the same time, I saw dust. So imagine this being the open window facing the city, and there being some sandbags, and there's dust, right? And so I hear the crack, and I see the dust, and then he falls over, and he's got a spot of red on his head, and he's looking straight up. And each one of these things individually is just, it just doesn't make you unless you've seen that before or know what's coming. I'm telling you, it's hard to figure out. Man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's hard to figure out what has just happened. And my first thought was, he had an accidental discharge because his rifle is pointing straight down, and then the dust goes up like this. He falls over. I was like, he just had an accidental discharge, and the concussion knocked him out. That's weird, And I'm trying to figure it out. Now I'm sure that it was only like 1 or 2 seconds where all of this happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? But your brain speeds up trying to.
Yeah, you just quantum processing, right?
Quantum processing,
right.
Man. But I'm just like, fuck that. No, why would he fall over? And about this time, Paul Fondren, and man, I'll never be able to pay this guy back. He saved my life. He had seen that before, and he was coming up in the tower as this happened. The fucking chances of him being able to have been right there at this exact time, seeing this, and he just yelled, "Sniper, get down!" And then it all came to me. It all clicked. Tommy's dead because he's just been killed by a sniper, and that guy's looking at me. And man, I dove for cover, and I heard another crack. Which, I mean, you tell me, man. I mean, if you were in that position and you saw fucking 2 guys and you just took out another guy,
100%.
Yeah,
100%. No question in my brain whatsoever. Yeah. That's Christmas come early.
Christmas come early.
You know what I mean? It's if I'm the bad guy, or I'm the sniper.
Yeah. So, yeah, Christmas come early. And what actually happened? Tommy didn't get shot in the head. He had binos, and he had put him down to observe, and the shot was to the neck, but because of the angle of the sniper, it went through his wrist first before it went into the neck. So splatter came up and hit him on the head. But I thought it was a headshot, but it wound up being actually and I had to see the video later because there's a video of it. But he was shot in the neck and instantly killed. Like I said, Paul Fondren saved my life. And once it all kind of fucking clicked, and man, I'm certainly not proud of this. I can only tell you this was my first gunfight. And this is how I reacted for at least the first 10 minutes. Panic-stricken, fear like I cannot describe. I just laid on the fucking floor like, man, there's someone out there, one badass motherfucker who's trying to kill me. Is he going to kill me? Because if you leave the tower, man, there was no protection on those stairs. And I can't stay up there forever. But I was just like, Jesus fucking, and I'm standing from me to you, closer than me to you, to my friend who's now dead, and I'm up there in the tower with this, dead friend of mine. I mean, it was just the craziest, weirdest, surreal thing, and I'm embarrassed because I couldn't act, and everyone else was acting. I saw the most heroic shit that day, man. Holy fucking shit. Paul got on the radio and he said, man, Tommy's down. He's dead, because the team leader had asked if he was wounded, if we need to evac him. He says he's dead. And then, the whole place opens up. It's because the Marines get into shit there like 3 times a day. The Governor's Center was just a goddamn magnet for fucking bullshit. And it wasn't that day, but it was within the week they kidnapped the governor who we were meeting with. So, I mean, Al-Qaeda was there, Zarqawi was there. I know Zarqawi was in Ramadi. We know this. Was he there that day? I have to assume so, because it was a very well-run attack. I mean, it was bounding the whole 9, brother. It was crazy. And they did eventually kidnap the governor. But the volume of fire, man, holy shit. I got one of the videos on my YouTube channel, KG Spradley author, but the volume of fire was, I'd put it right up there with anything you saw on those ships in World War II shooting at the kamikazes. Just like, just fucking everything.
Just a wall of lead in every direction. Yeah.
It was crazy, man. I mean, and I'm just fucking laying there, man, like, fuck. And then, dude, these 3 Marines, I think it was 3 Marines or maybe 2 Marines and a corpsman. And like, I cannot overstate the volume of fire. going both ways.
Mm-hmm.
These fucking, I hate to say it, I don't know how else to say it. These 3 fucking kids, these fucking Marines, man, or 2 Marines in a corps, these fucking children, dude, just run up in the goddamn tower, man. Bullets going everywhere. They didn't give a fuck, man. And they're just sitting there with their rifle, you know, man, and they assess him, and you can't even hear them talking, man. That's how much fucking volume of, maybe everybody's gunfights are like that, but that was my first one, and it was fucking nuts. But man, I remember him looking at me, and you can't hear him, but I can read his lips, and he's just like, I'm sorry, man, he's gone, I can't help him. And I just said, man, I understand, thanks. And they were just like, they just kind of looked at me, just kind of shook his head, like there's this understanding. Like,
Yeah.
It was like this very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, scientific, or it was unemotional, matter of fact. I'm sorry, I can't help him.
Yeah, just
it's okay.
straight to the point,
Straight to
frank.
the point, man. And then they fucking, without any hesitation, ran right back into the goddamn gunfight, man. And I was just like, God damn, man. You know, later thinking about and that wasn't the only incident that I saw that day, but it stuck out in my mind. I was just like, man, God damn, man, fucking kids, but look at them, look at the shit they did, and will they ever get recognition for that? You know?
Oh, dude, yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, I won't, steal the microphone, but from my sniper position in Iraq during the invasion, I saw people do shit. Marines and corpsmen do shit on a daily basis where I was like, holy fuck, you know what I mean? Because from our elevated position, and I'm sure I was naive to think, I mean, we were very exposed, but even the elevation that we had, it was almost like being able to kind of lift your head above the fog, if that makes sense. Like totally different temperature on the ground than it was where we were at. Not saying that obviously periodically people didn't see us and then give us some love, but it was on the ground. Like I said, I'm relating very much to it's what Marines, what soldiers, what humans who are trained are capable of in those situations is, to put it mildly, impressive.
Fucking super impressive, man. And man, that was just what they did for a living. They were Marines, man, in Ramadi. And if anybody out there knows who those, May 10th, 2005, Governor Center Ramadi. I don't know who those guys are.
I do, and I think when we get done, I'll
thank you.
100%. I'll put you in contact because I'm pretty sure I know quite a few of them.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
It's a crazy small world, right?
Yeah, man.
Crazy small world. As I was reading it and hearing you tell the story, I'm fairly certain I can put you in contact with the right people.
Yeah.
Well, how did it? So, and I completely interrupted.
No, she didn't, man. Not at all.
How did it wrap up? Like, what was the? And I'm not trying to hurry by any sense.
No. Roger that, man. No,
how'd you get down?
Yeah, he just the team leader was just like, man, we're obviously being attacked. This is obviously a situation where we're going to be overrun. We cannot. They called in the QRF, and the team leader was like, man, fuck this. We got to get out of here. Drivers, get back to your vehicles. And me and Fondo were drivers. And I was like, fuck, how are we going to get out of this goddamn tower? And by then, I started to get my shit together, which I'm proud of. I'm glad I didn't just fucking lay there. Like
stay in the black,
right, in the black,
just condition black, right?
Condition black, yeah. I got my shit together to a large extent. And I was just like, okay, we're going to have to run down here through gunfire to get to the car. He just saved my life. I'm going to ask him if he wants to go first or if he wants me to go first. And he said he wanted to go first. I was like, roger that. I'm on your ass. We ran down the stairs, and man, as soon as we got on the fucking thing, I outrun that motherfucker.
You found a whole new gear.
Oh, I found a whole new gear, brother. I got to the limo, started up, and I was like, okay, I'll wait for the boss to get out because it's only boss and the dam neck. We had a dam neck guy there with us. So I was waiting on the boss and the Dev Group dam neck, and then he would get on the radio and say we're limos up or whatever. So I'm just sitting there, man, and just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, fuck, man, we should get the fuck out of here. You know, it's not my call, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when, you know, I guess I'm glad for the situation I had earlier because the empathy comes out. I saw a Marine at my 9 o'clock position, and he was kind of hunkered down by a wall, and I could read it. I'm telling you, man, I could read his mind. I could see it. He had to close that distance, but it was all open ground, and there's safety at the wall, but the rounds are like, you know. And I was like, man, he's going to be stuck there. You know what I mean? If somebody doesn't do something, that somebody needs to be me. Who else is going to, you know? What I should have done, man, was honestly get out of the limo and run over there and grab him. That's what I should have done, and I didn't do that, and I regret that to this day. But what I did is I opened up the door and I yelled at him, and I got his attention and got him to move, and I could see the fucking, I mean, I don't want to say fear, but the nerves.
Oh, sure, it's fear. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's a terrifying experience.
Yeah, terrifying experience. And he did what I told him to do. He ran towards me, and he got behind the car, and like, here's the wall, here's my car, he gets inside the building. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I accomplished something. I got him off the X. So I feel good about this. So I'm kind of building the confidence. And these guys still aren't out here, and I'm the limo, so we can't, you know, leave until I'm ready, and I don't have my guys. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be overrun. Why is this rifle sitting here not killing bad guys? I'm a fucking shooter before I'm a driver. So I crawled out, you know, and I'm just like, fuck, man, look for targets.
Sure.
And I saw a guy, he was across the street, around Michigan, and I would say he's on the second or third deck, and he's moving. And I can't say, it's hard to say that if a person has a rifle or not. What I can tell you is that human behavior, if there's some kind of crazy situation, explosion, a gunfight or whatever, it's fight, flight, or freeze.
Right, correct.
So if you're trying to discriminate targets, if they freeze, that's a natural reaction for someone who is not a combatant. So
Correct.
Don't shoot the frozen person. If they are running away, that's a natural reaction for someone who is not a combatant. Don't shoot them. But if they're bounding towards you, man, that is fucking straight up. That person has discipline, intent, the whole nine.
Yep.
And that's what this guy was doing. And I was like, fucking nobody, you know, does anybody else see this guy? Fucking, and, you know, you open up the car. Like I said, I was shooting from the V.
Shooting from the V,
yes.
yep.
And I was just, you know, and I put one round into him. And, you know, man, at every fucking military training you've ever been to, it's you shoot one round into paper and you're good. And I shot one round into paper. And it wasn't good. He kept fucking coming.
Isn't
man.
it crazy?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What the fuck? You know, this piece of shit fucking rifle.
You're like, did I fucking miss?
Yeah,
you know?
did I miss? And I was, there's no fucking way I missed. So I go to shoot him again. And this is a learning point. I had a double magazine thing, which looks cool. Fucking worthless, man. And the damn that guy told me that they did use that. He was like, don't do that, dude. We tried that shit in the 80s. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Nah. So it's too heavy, and it came out as I was crawling. So I'm so excited to be in the gunfight, the goddamn mag fell. So I only had the one round, and when I go to pull the other, I'm like, God damn it. So I'm like, okay, I got mags on my vest, you know, and there, you know, and I probably shot him, like I said, man, about 4 or 5 times, and he goes down. And, you know, this is your first time you've always heard about this, man. You've always heard about gunfights. You've always read about it. You saw the movies. And now you're here, and you just killed a guy. Holy shit! I mean, isn't this what you wanted? And I was just like, in that exact situation, I felt totally justified because they were attacking us. I cannot speak for everyone's, you know, morality or whatever, what they felt like in their first gunfight. If every person they shot was a legitimate target or whatever, that's something each person has to come to grips with. You can make mistakes and all those types of things, but I know that in my case, it was 100% fucking justified, this guy. I guess the only bad part was once I kind of was like, holy shit, I just fucking killed a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to the right and the left, and there's a guy named Donkey. He was a SWAT guy. And then we had a hoser, Justin Hoseman. Do you know? He was a scout sniper.
I think I know the call sign.
Okay. Well, they were both shooting at the same guy. I'm pretty sure they were shooting at the same guy. And I was like, fuck. Did they kill him? Did I kill? You know, so now you're having these questions in your head like, oh, fuck, did I even shoot the guy? But at least for me, I guess on a positive level was I got my shit together, I got in the gunfight, and I contributed to the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a great learning experience for me.
A pivotal moment for sure.
Pivotal moment, yeah. So
I said in a very similar conversation, I said, somebody asked me, what's it like, or what did you think, or what have you, and I said it's the most significant bridge you'll ever cross in your life.
Yeah.
Because there's no going back to the other side. It's a one-way bridge.
It's a one-way bridge.
Yeah, it's a one-way bridge, and everybody wants to cross it. Everybody thinks they want to cross it, and then you find yourself in a position where you're forced to cross it, and as we were, and it's once again kind of one of those things. Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's got to be done,
Yeah,
right?
to be done, man.
Yeah, in those situations, it very easily can go the other way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As we well know, right?
Absolutely, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. The QRF got there eventually, and we had some Hornets come in, F-18s. I don't think it was mostly show of force type stuff. I don't remember them doing gun runs or anything. But man, we got Tommy out of the tower. They put him in the back of one of the trucks, and we drove back to Junction City. And they put him in the morgue, and we had an AR. And a guy named Goalie cleaned up his body armor to give it to his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of days later, we went back downtown.
Yeah. Yeah. And that quick reaction force, that QRF, like it's an indescribable feeling when they show up, right? It's like, whoever they is.
Goddamn.
It doesn't matter if it's, 4 of your teammates coming from left field, it's saying nothing about fixed wing aircraft. Like, oh my God, is it a good feeling when they show up?
Yeah. Hey, I'm in the Guard now, man, and obviously I'm one of the old guys or whatever. But you hear every now and then somebody will say something stupid or some inter-service rivalry or whatever.
Sure.
I'm like, look, man, God forbid, but one day you're going to be in a position where you're going to need someone to come save your life, and you're not going to give a fuck what uniform that guy's wearing, if he's wearing a uniform at all.
At all. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Period. End of story. Yeah. And unless you've been in that situation, it's I don't give a shit if it's a Girl Scout troop, that hey-ho's in, like it's
someone's coming to help you.
Someone's coming to help,
Very fucking happy they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. God damn.
Well, how many times, or what was your total amount of time on the ground in Ramadi?
Yeah, that one was just over 60 days, and that was not the only near-death experience I had. Here's a crazy story for you. This will blow you away. One night, we're sitting around, and it's a dust storm, and they always attack during a dust storm because you don't have the counter battery and I can't remember if we had UAVs back then or not, but they didn't have the radar, the counter battery, and whatnot. So anyway, it was a dust storm, and they fired a rocket into the compound. We were at Blue Diamond, and the rocket goes right over our hooch, and it hits the top of the chapel. If it would have been a foot higher, it would have went into the motor pool and fucking nothing. Well, it hit the fucking top of the chapel and just fragmented outwards, right? And I'm just like, fuck, man. And it was 50 meters away from me was the impact. Now, it knocked me out of my chair, there's no doubt. but like no frag went in my room or anything like that, you know. But 50 meters. And I was just, holy fuck. And I looked at my roommate, Dallas, who had been the 18 Delta that day with Tommy. Like, man, you guys cool? Yeah, we're good. And I walk outside. I'm like, yeah, everybody good? I'm like, yeah, I think so. But it's like real heavy dust, you know. It's at night. Well, maybe a few minutes later, these 3 Marines come running to the compound. And they're like, hey, man, we're missing somebody. Can you help? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I can help, man. And everybody else was obviously yelling, but everybody spread out. And I went out the back way for whatever reason. And I walked down, you know, there's a little street or avenue, whatever you call it. And I saw this Marine sitting down against a tree, laying down against the tree. And I was like, hey, man, you okay? And I walked up to him, man. He was non-responsive. And I looked at his face, and his eyes were like going back and forth in his head. And I was like, man, are you okay? And that's when Dallas, the 18 Delta, he comes up behind me, and he starts assessing him. I don't know what's wrong with him, but Dallas does. And I said, man, what do you need? He goes, run back to the limo, grab the med bag, and come back over here. Roger that. I run over there. I grabbed the med bag. I came back. And I think I can't remember if he said that he was gone. I can't remember the exact conversation, but I remember him saying something to the effect of, man, fuck, we don't need it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We don't need the med bag now. And they took him to the BAS, I think, the battalion aid station.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I heard of that, I don't want to shit on those guys, man. It's not my place. I heard some derogatory remarks in the AAR about how that portion was handled, but you know, it's not for me to say. But what had happened was he was out PTing at night. He was jogging, and so he didn't have his body armor on because obviously during the day, summertime, in the desert's just balls hot.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah. And so he's PTing at night when it's cooler, and he wasn't wearing body armor. You know, some guys ran in body armor, some guys didn't. But anyway, so here's the chapel, and when the rocket hit and it fragmented, that frag went all out like this, and a fragmentation hit him. Now, I was 50 meters away, and nothing hit me. He was 75 meters away, and part of the fragmentation went through his chest and severed his aorta, and he bled to death like that. One of the more crazy parts of that story was of those 3 Marines who came in there. I was in the South Carolina Army National Guard fucking 15 years later, and we're having a safety stand down. We're having some kind of big meeting where all the warrant officers are fucking, it's like 200 fucking warrant officers. I'm in line to get a fucking chow, sandwich, whatever, and I hear this guy in front of me he was not an aviation warrant, because you have warrant officers in the Army that aren't aviation. We call them walking warrants. He was like I don't know what he was, S1 or something, admin. I can't remember what he was, but he was a warrant officer. But I hear this guy telling this story about being in Iraq and a dust storm and a rocket attack. And I'm like, God damn, that sounds familiar, man. Holy shit, you know.
And at the same time, could be a thousand different stories, right? You're right.
1,000 different fucking. I mean, how many people have been hit with rockets? I mean, I know fucking probably 100 guys that had, you know. And I'm just like, man, that's a crazy fucking story. And I asked him, because I didn't know the guy, I didn't recognize. I only knew the pilots, and he wasn't a pilot, so I was just like, oh, I'll just ask him. I said, and he's standing right in front of me in a line of 200 people. Do the math. And I said, hey, man, where was that? He goes, oh, it was a little place called Ramadi. I said, when was it? He goes, 2005. I said, so you ran into the Blackwater compound and asked for help? He goes, yeah. I said, I'm the guy. I said, I'm the guy that found him. I said, I'm the guy you asked. He was a Marine Lance Corporal there at Blue Diamond, and he was one of the guys that ran in there asking for help.
fucking
Here
crazy
I am,
small world, dude.
I'll show you the picture of us together. 15 years later, in the fucking National Guard on a goddamn drill weekend in a line of 200 people, he is telling that fucking story
It's
right
incredible.
in front of me, man. What are the fucking chances?
Yeah, it's incredible.
There's
It's
no
an
fucking
incre-
way, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. But, like I said, had a couple close calls. That was one of them. The sniper. Ramadi was just a crazy goddamn place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as bad as it sounds, man. I wanted more. I didn't want that, but I wanted.
It's strangely addicting.
Yeah.
It's strangely addicting, right? And especially depending on if you're single, even if you're not single, it's that's the best way I can put it. Is it's oddly addicting. The threat, the danger, the thrill, it's a drug.
It's a drug.
It's a drug that you
It's
get
a
addicted to
fucking
almost
drug,
instantaneously.
Yeah, it's a drug
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah. But I ended up my tour there, man. Like I said, after 60 days, man, and I learned an incredible amount during that time. Yeah, and then I went home, and I was told if you're going to keep deploying, you have to go to the formal DSS course, because although that was a DSS contract, they had a formalized course. And I was like, fuck, I got to go back through training. Well, fuck it, it is what it is. And then we had little birds, we had the MD-530s and gunners. Well, that was still part of the DOS or DSS contract. And I was like, man, I like helicopters. I want to be a fucking little bird gunner. So I'll go to the DSS course, or the DSS course. So I go back to Moyoc, man, and I'm like, hey, man, I want to be a little bird guy. And they're like, they're telling me the process, but you got to go to the DSS thing first. And I said, okay. And I can't remember how this happened. I just can't remember. But someone said something to the effect of, again, the little birds were different as far as like how I would go to war. I felt like if I'm at treetop level at 100-something knots, that gives me more survivability, and I can go kinetic on the enemy. So I'm doing something. I'm still going to war, but I'm not with that fucking big team that's going to get attacked fucking every day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So that was my goal, be a little bird guy. And when I went back to Moyoc and I'm talking to the DSS, the lady that was doing the resumes for DSS, she sees Force Recon on the thing, and she's like, you know about the special programs, right? And I said, no, I don't know shit. And she goes, you have to, and at the time, this was 2005, you had to have 8 years of special operations background, and someone on the program had to vouch for you. Just, it didn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to skip anything, but someone had to kind of be like, this is what we do, bro, but you can't tell anybody. You had to have one of those conversations. Or also they had to be like, okay, he's not a turd. He's not a fucking alcoholic. He's not a wife beater. He didn't fucking bounce checks. Because you're looking at about a year, goddamn, from start to finish, man, the background and the selection and all this other shit's probably going to be a year. So they didn't want to waste time with the wrong people. So that's, man, I was like, no, but hey, it sounds good. And I forgot who it was. I think someone within the office vouched for me. They're like, okay, I have a clearance. I'm not one of them, but you've been here a while. And it was just kind of I was in the right place at the right time.
Sure.
To be honest with you,
Sure.
man, I'm just being honest with you. I was in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was, next thing you know, you're going to fucking selection, man.
Yeah. Again. Again. God damn, how many of these I got to go to?
I know, man.
Yeah,
when
there's
are you
always
done?
another selection. Fuck.
When are you done, man? when are you ever done? Every day is selection.
That's a fact.
Goddamn.
Well, so and I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but what motivated you? Because you have time on special programs. You know, you're a pilot. You know, soon to be a pilot. Or were you a pilot at the time?
I was a private pilot, the civilian. I had a civilian license, but I was not, a military aviator.
So, and you're gonna qualify eventually on all these platforms, right? With the Army National Guard, correct?
Yeah.
So, when did the idea for the book hit you?
Yeah, I've always wanted to write. I never thought I would write an autobiography. The thing about the book was, so I just transitioned to jets. I was flying corporate jets, and not a bad job, and it was, I knew it was a stepping stone. The last presidential administration, I fucking have no idea why, but the FAA decided they were going to go fucking investigate veterans. If you were a commercial pilot and you'd been in the VA, they were going to look into you with more intently or whatever. And you guys can, your audience can web search it, man. 5,000 commercial pilots were grounded, had their medicals taken for no other reason other than they were veterans who went to the VA. Fucking
Fuck.
Yeah. So no one's talking about that in Congress. No one's fucking suing whoever. No one's talking about that. But when you talk about low recruiting numbers and the pilot shortage and all that, God damn, man. I feel like, Congress should be looking into that shit. But I basically lost my job because they suspended my medical. Okay? They did not take my medical. They suspended it. So when I went to my employer and said, "Hey, man, the FAA is investigating me. I got a short-term disability clause through the company," and they're like, "No, man, we don't cover that because you didn't lose your medical. You still have a medical, but it's been suspended. So now I can't get the short-term disability. I can't get unemployment because I still have a job. So now I'd already been living on savings. I was at the top of helicopter world, and I went to the bottom of jet world. So I was already living on savings, right? And now, and my story was not that bad. I mean, again, 5,000 people lost their jobs for a period of time. They lost their medicals. If you don't have a medical, you don't have a job. Some guys lost it forever, lost their homes, whatever.
Wow.
Nobody's looking into that shit, man.
Wow.
So I was unemployed for 5 weeks. And they knew I had a CPAP. And I mean, I declared all this shit, but just because I went to the VA and they felt like, hey, we're just going to investigate veterans today. And I was one of the guys that got rolled up. So like I said, I lost it for 5 weeks. I was pissed off, but I was like, you know what? How do I do something positive with this? What can I do that's positive? I can be pissed off, and it's not going to help anything. So that's when I wrote the book, when I was unemployed for 5 weeks, wait for my medical to come back.
And you wrote it in 5 weeks?
Yeah.
You just sat down and said, "Here we go."
Yeah, here we go.
Wow. Holy shit. That's badass.
What is it? The mother of invention.
Necessity?
Necessity is the mother
necessity
of invention.
is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So in the process, what was that process like, right? Did you just kind of sit down and like pen to paper or obviously on a computer or what have you, and I'm just going to get up when this is done?
Yeah.
And
so I had the goal. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and like I said, T.R. Matson. If anybody out there, go to T.R. Matson's website. He's an author as well, retired Navy aviator, and he's an airline pilot now. Well, he's a friend of mine, my buddy Fingers. And I told Fingers I was wanting to write a book, and well, he's buddies with T.R. Matson. They were both Airbus instructors. It's one of the airlines. There's Boeing and there's Airbus, basically. So, man, he got me his number, and I called him, and he was already an accomplished author. And here he is, man, giving me hours at a time on the phone for free, just telling me what he did. And long story short, I did exactly what he told me. And what he told me was, have 1 degree of separation with your artist name. That's why KG Spradley, TR Matson. That's how I
Sure.
got that.
Okay.
Instead of Kirk Spradley or Tadpole. So I did that. He said to get a subscriber app on your phone or your iPad and have an idea of what you're going to talk about, and then talk into the subscribers. The subscriber app records all your words, and then when you're ready, you hit transfer to PDF. It turns it into a PDF.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
now you make these PDFs. And then there's a Canadian company that did his, and like I said, I did everything he told me. I did exactly what he did. And I can't remember the name of the company in Canada. You can web search it and figure it out. But basically, you send them your PDFs, and they edit it and turn it into a book. And then you tell them what you want for the cover. You send them pictures, and they come back with ideas. And do you like this? Do you like that? And so I was able to pick I asked people on the internet, like, hey, what do you think looks better? And that's how I got the book cover. And then I asked some friends of mine if they would write reviews. And Rusty is one of the reviewers. We have a OGA guy who's a reviewer. And then Fingers, Jim Danow, he's one of the reviewers. So their reviews are on the back cover. And then a buddy of mine, he was a former Marine infantry guy who went to the Air Wing, got out, then came in the National Guard and deployed with me as a crew chief on my last deployment. His wife just got her PhD in history, and she's trying to kind of get her name out there. And she was like, hey, maybe for a small fee, I'll do some more editing and massaging of your manuscript. So I sent it to her, man, and PhD in history, right? So she fucking cleans up everything and makes it more.
Turns all the R's the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Took out the crayons.
Yeah, took out the crayons.
All
yeah.
that shit. And then, man, like I said, I did a lot of web searches and how do you self-publish, and I got it. Technically, you don't have to get it copyrighted because it's copyrighted once you start writing, but I went ahead and copyrighted it. And then, so I got everything fucking ready to go, and then now you got to fucking start with the fucking approval process. I had to send one to DOD, and I had to send one to OGA, and man, and so that's another fucking year that I'm waiting for them to come back.
And what kind of, is there people that don't do that? What kind of negative repercussions if you don't put it through the approval process? Do you know?
I don't know.
I'm sure you're kind of opening yourself up for all kinds of bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, they were good. It took a long fucking time, but I felt like they were good to me. They did. I put everything in there, meaning this is what we did, and we met with this person, and this is how So a lot of operational shit. Like, well, let's see what happens, because I wanted to tell that story, and they didn't mind the operational stuff. Now, some of it they did. There was some people whose nationalities I can't say. You could probably figure it out. But there are some nationalities, because it wasn't just us and Iraqis, right? Everybody get that.
Right.
So they scrubbed that shit, and they scrubbed the locations. I couldn't talk about where I was. I could say the country. But a lot of the operational details they left in there. I was like, huh. Okay.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And obviously, flipping through it, it's, it's always crazy to see what's redacted and what's not. It's like, I'm like, why did they do that? What I mean, I'm sure they have a system.
Yeah.
Right.
Perhaps.
Well, and the reason,
maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. It's hard telling. There could be It's the reason why I ask is because I think it's super important. We kind of talked about this, at our lunch and in the lobby, the history is important, right? And I think, man, anybody that's gone through this has a story to tell, right?
Oh,
and I don't think enough guys, gals, sit down and hey, I didn't do anything special, or hey, I don't know how to write, or whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. But there's so much to be gained from these stories and these books, right? And so I think it's important if anybody's out there, like. And what piece of advice would you give there's the GWAT 20 plus years. There's a lot of veterans that may be sitting out there thinking, I would like to write one, I don't know how.
Yeah.
And so what piece of advice would you give to someone who's sitting there on the fence?
Absolutely, man. You tell your story, because you would be surprised at how many people either have your story or want to hear your story, and you deserve to tell your story. It's extremely therapeutic. You can go to the VA and get all kinds of fucking drugs. You can go to Mexico and fucking whatever the fuck they do there, I'm not judging. Or you can fucking just try writing. What was the phrase? Aberrant behavior when written about is literature, right? So fucking, yeah, right, man. And again, it's very simple. I like my iPad, but maybe you have a smartphone. Go to that fucking app store, get a subscriber app, talk into it. On Monday, I woke up because there was an explosion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Beep, and just save all that shit up. Then when you're ready, read through it. Obviously, I spent money out of pocket because my name's on the book. I'm self-published, and I wanted to keep my reputation. That's my choice. I'm not judging people who went to publishers and were paid money. Hey, man, a lot of people out there have stories affiliated with their name. They're not their stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say who. We all know.
Right.
I'm not judging, man.
Yep.
Do what you got to do, man. But you've spent your entire life, your entire career building up a reputation. Hopefully it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's something that you're proud of. Your reputation fucking, goes in the shitter if you decide to sell your story to this publisher, and this publisher starts creating things that you didn't do or whatever, or blurring timelines or any of that stuff. And you cannot sit there and say, well, man, it was a ghostwriter. It's not my fault. It is your fault. Your name's on that book, bro. If your name is on that book, and what's your reputation worth, man? Mine's worth a lot to me.
Yeah.
Right?
The fucking truth is good enough.
The
truth is good.
enough,
Jesus
man.
Christ. You know
Right?
what I mean? Like, the truth is good enough.
Yeah.
And there's a difference, obviously, the world according to who, that doesn't make it right.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a difference between a fish story, comedic exaggeration, and outright fabrication. That is a large.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space between those two things, right? You know what I mean? Once again, that's my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
The same opinion.
And even going back with some of the books because I was I consumed, just like we talked about earlier. I consumed everything I could consume, especially once I graduated cyber school, and I read every book, and it's sometimes you'll come across something and it's like, I don't know if that would be mathematically possible. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
And obviously I wasn't there, so I'm not judging. But then I thought to myself, you know what? When I'm, in my silver years, my stories might get a little, it gets a little fuzzy, a lot of TBI and whatever. And then there's fabrication, so it's, well, I can't wait to finish it. Two, hey, brother, thank you so much for coming on. Incredible story. Where can people find the book? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can. I would appreciate people going to my website, kgspradleyauthor.com, and that way they can track the books that I have coming out. I'm going to write novels after this one. I just like writing. But if they go to buy the book on that website, it'll take them to Amazon. You can find the book on Amazon. War Junkie, A Cautionary Tale, because it is a cautionary tale. Be careful what you wish for. You can get it in hardback, or paperback. You can get it on Kindle if you have a Kindle subscription. I would appreciate being followed on the social media sites, just because I try to tell other people's stories as best I can. There's a lot of people out there that have done some great things and nobody knows about, and I try to correct that. So KG Spradley Author on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Rumble. That's I've got all of those. I don't have what's the other one? I don't have TikTok or anything. But yeah, man. But like I said, and man, don't be afraid to critique it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I would like to see this, or hey, that's a shitty story, or whatever.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody you want to shout out to before we get you fed?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I definitely want to thank the people in my corner, man. Obviously, all the veterans, starting with you, man, because you gave me this opportunity to come up here. Thanks to my wife for putting up with all this shit in my career. I try to promote veterans businesses as best I can, man. If you want to do some great shooting, and you're in the say south of Chicago area, check out Briggs Core Dynamics.
Great dude.
Great, awesome dude, man. Scott, squared away guy. If you're down south, check out Ninja Bob Solutions. Rob's a former D-boy and served with us.
Ninja's one of a kind.
One of a kind, man. Obviously, if you like aviation stories, man, check out the Mover and Gonky show. Tell them Tadpole sent me. And T.R. Matson, he's on there from time to time. He's an author. He got me from zero to hero with my book. So thank that guy. And that's about as many as I can think right now. And I'm sure I'm leaving out several, and I apologize. Oh, The Perfect Fucking Life, Jason Morrison. Jason wrote the intro to my book. He didn't have to do that. He got no money for that. He just did it because he's an artist. But check him out, theperfectfuckinglife.com, and he's written 2 books so far.
Yeah, and I read the first one. It's fantastic. And I haven't got the second one yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a solid list, dude. Once again, Kirk, thank you so much,
thank
bro.
you, brother.
It was incredible. And
thank you.
We're going to do it again sooner than later, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Lee Deckelman, Sonny. He was in Ramadi before me, and he's written a couple of books. And he does... he has a yoga studio, and that's how he deals with all those things. So Be Strong Yoga. It's in Tullahoma, Tennessee. So
Badass. Badass. Next time I'm there, right?
Fuck yeah, brother.
I'm coming down to visit. Yeah, I'm coming. I could use a good stretch, right?
Fuck
Oh
yeah.
shit. Well, we'll wrap it up, dude.
Thank you,
We'll get
brother.
you fed.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks everybody. Hey, you guys know the drill. Stay mobile. See ya.